Vault XL. Getting a little late, but hope you all can tune into this live stream. This is a three-part live pertaining to Riley Strain. Katie Proudfoot, she has decided to give a rebuttal to commentary that Seth Rogers has relayed on YouTube. And then we're going to talk about Christian King Combs, P. Diddy's son, who has a new allegation, a suit against him. And I'm going to talk about the Combs first, and then I'll go into Riley Strain and then Katie Proudfoot. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $, Angie, 129 Cash App, stickers and chats, always welcome to the live stream. Let's get down to it. Yahoo Entertainment is the source. What a mess. What a mess. Rolling Stone is the source. Sean Combs' son sued for alleged sex assault on yacht. Sean Diddy Combs and his youngest son, Christian King Combs, 26, have been named in a new lawsuit that accuses the younger Combs of sexually assaulting a woman who was working on a luxury yacht chartered by the Combs family for a 2022 winter trip in St. Martin. The 31-page complaint filed late Thursday in Los Angeles County Superior Court comes after a recent series of lawsuits alleging that Sean Combs, 54, sexually assaulted 4 women and 1 man on separate occasions between 1990 and 2023. Combs, whose homes were raided last week as part of a federal sex trafficking probe, has denied the allegations, calling them shakedowns. The latest lawsuit filed by lawyers Tyrone A. Blackburn and Rodney S. Diggs alleges that Christian insisted that the plaintiff, Grace O'Marcaigh, take a shot of tequila that he poured for her while she was working as the yacht's sole on-duty steward in the pre-dawn hours of December 28, 2022. She says that soon after she requests to be polite, the mood changed and things became sinister. She claims Christian forcefully grabbed her arm, prevented her from leaving the sun deck, and forced her to take another shot. Plaintiff was quite scared and realized she was in a very dangerous situation, the paperwork states, adding that O'Marcaigh began to feel strange and quickly suspected the tequila was spiked. She also alleges Christian then proceeded to kiss her neck and face as he groped her legs, breasts, anus, and vagina. According to the lawsuit, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, a music producer who was working with Diddy on the yacht and filed his own sex assault lawsuit against the music mogul in February, was present during the exchange and caught it on an audio recording. Wow. An alleged transcript of the recording included in the complaint claims that O'Marcaigh asked Christian if she was being drugged and later requested that he stop touching her legs and ass. O'Marcaigh, 25, alleges that a short time later, Christian cornered her in the yacht cinema and became extremely aggressive, stripping off his clothes, grabbing her arms, and trying to force plaintiff to perform oral copulation on his erect penis. She began fighting to free herself and finally managed to leave when her partner on board went looking for her out of concern and entered the cinema, the lawsuit states. She says she complained to the ship's captain, but the incident was not properly investigated. She alleges Sean Combs paid the captain a generous tip as part of a cover-up. The lawsuit includes color photos showing bruises on O'Marcaigh's arm she claims were caused by Christian. According to the lawsuit, the incident was deeply traumatizing for O'Marcaigh, leading to the breakup of her relationship with her partner and a deep depression. Christian is accused of assault, battery, sexual assault, and intentional infliction of emotional distress in the lawsuit, while Sean Combs is accused of aiding and abetting the behavior and premises liability as the leaseholder on the yacht. Aaron Dyer, an attorney for Sean and Christian Combs, tells Rolling Stone that he had not seen the claim, but I'm sure we can expect the same kind of manufactured lies we've come to expect from Tyrone Blackburn and his clients. While Dyer did not address O'Marcaigh's allegations, he claimed Blackburn was filing the lawsuits to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly. We learned of this lawsuit the same way anyone hears about Mr. Blackburn's filings, through the media. In her suit, M.I.A also claims that she observed a number of unsettling things while working on the yacht for Combs, including one alleged sex worker who became extremely upset and locked herself in a massage room while hysterically crying. The woman said she did not feel safe and wanted to leave, the suit claims. Wow. Combs accused drug mule Brendan Paul was present on the yacht once allegedly telling M.I.A that he had to watch Combs have sex with multiple women in case Combs needed him to get him something while he was in the middle of the act. Now, what would that be exactly? Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you. What would he need while he's having sex with the women? So he's got the white guy, the drug mule, watching, the alleged drug mule, the one that got the drugs caught in his bags on the plane. You're going to stop having sex, and then you're going to go look over here to the guy and say, hey, bring me what? Bring me a dildo, bring me a some type of sexual toy. What are we talking about here? Bring me what? Bring me a towel? This is crazy to me. This is outlandish. Okay, where was I? Needed him, this is crazy, needed him to get him something while he was in the middle of the act. Paul was the only known person arrested during the raids, taken away from Miami Opelika Airport in handcuffs, charged with possession of cocaine and marijuana. Christian, whose mother, Kim Porter, died in 2018, made headlines last week when he was detained alongside older brother Justin Combs, 30, during the raid on their dad's Los Angeles compound. Photos obtained by Rolling Stone showed him handcuffed outside his dad's Holmby Hills mansion. He was later released. A second raid was carried out simultaneously at Combs' compound in Miami. Justin's mother, M.I.A Hilton, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, shared new video from the surprise search in an Instagram post on Tuesday. One grainy clip appeared to show Christian being handcuffed up against an interior wall. Another clip showed Justin walking toward agents with his hands on his head and guns pointed at his chest. The overzealous and overtly militarized force used against my sons, Justin and Christian, is deplorable, M.I.A Hilton wrote. If these were the sons of a non-black celebrity, they would not have been handled with the same aggression. Well, I'm going to say this to you, M.I.A. From my understanding, the agents didn't even know who Sean Combs is. How about that? From my understanding, an article I read the other day, I don't know if it was some or all of the agents that went to either house, I think the one in Miami, they didn't even know who Sean Combs was. So there you have it. Naturally, they would get a briefing of where they're going. I'm sure they would show them photographs of, the person they're looking for, which would be Sean, I guess. So they would, I guess, find out that he is African-American, but they didn't know who he was allegedly, some of them. So let's just say that. Before we start saying this is a racial situation, the point is it's the federal government. It really doesn't matter what your color is. It doesn't matter. White people have been raided as well by our federal government. And home search, so there you have it. All right. So she's complaining about the aggression used. Federal officials have yet to disclose the exact basis for the search warrants, saying only that they were served as part of an ongoing investigation involving Homeland Security agents out of New York. A source tells Rolling Stone that 4 Jane Does and 1 John Doe already sat for interviews with Southern District of New York investigators for a probe related to alleged sex trafficking. So that would possibly be the people who are filing the lawsuit against P. Diddy and his children or whomever else, Lil Rod and these other people. So they have obviously already talked to federal agents about this case, about the lawsuits. The raids came more than 4 months after R&B singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura filed a bombshell complaint against Combs November 16th, alleging he subjected her to vicious beatings, sex trafficking, and rape. In her 35-page filing, Ventura claimed Combs punched, kicked, stomped on her, and forced her to have drug-fueled intercourse with male sex workers during arrangements he dubbed freak-offs. In a statement, Combs' lawyer said the lawsuit was a financial shakedown. Riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, Combs reached a private settlement with Ventura 1 day later. Exactly. They're lies, and why pay? There's no truth to it. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's no truth to the allegations. Then why would I pay you 1 day later? Makes no sense. 1 week later, as New York Adult Survivors Act was set to expire, 2 more women stepped forward on Thanksgiving Day with similar disturbing claims against Combs. The second accuser Alleged Combs drugged and sexually assaulted her when she was a Syracuse University student in 1991. The woman claimed Combs filmed the incident and showed the video to others in an act described as revenge porn through a rep, and I believe that. And I believe he's been doing that. Okay, he denied the allegation. This last-minute lawsuit is an example of how a well-intentioned law can be turned on its head. This 32-year-old story is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her, and she implicates companies that did not exist. This is purely a money grab and nothing more, the spokesperson said. Okay, so it's just going on listing all this nonsense with him. The third allegation is against Mr. Combs and Aaron Hall. They took turns sexually assaulting a plaintiff and her friend following an Uptown Records event in 1990. So it's saying raping a plaintiff and her friend. So that's two women. 1990, Aaron Hall. Wow. And Aaron Hall, you haven't spoken about the allegation. So is it true or not? Curious. The plaintiff, who's now suing under her real name, Liza Gardner, says she was 16 years old at the time of the alleged assault. She further claims that a day later, Combs turned irate and began assaulting and choking her until she almost passed out because he was worried she might divulge what happened. These are fabricated claims falsely alleging misconduct from over 30 years ago and filed at the last minute. A Combs spokesperson said of Gardner's lawsuit, this is nothing but a money grab. So why didn't she file a complaint, she and her friend? Curious. Is it because he was famous, didn't feel like anybody would believe them? The other lady who's filing the suit against the son, Christian, on the yacht. Did she file a complaint? She has pictures of being bruised. Did she file a complaint as well? And why are we just now hearing about this? Because many people are going to ask those questions. Okay. Now, in early December, a fourth accuser alleges that Mr. Combs, former Bad Boy president, Harvey Pierre, and a third man gang raped her at Combs' New York recording studio in 2003. Now, this is crazy. Here's fourth allegation. Harvey Pierre, Sean, and a third man. Who was the third man? Sexually assaulted her at a recording studio when she was 17. So now we're talking about two underage females years ago. In late February, Rodney Little Rod Jones filed a lawsuit accusing Combs of sexual assault, harassment, and not compensating him for work on the Grammy-nominated The Love album. Combs has denied all wrongdoing in each case. Still, he stepped down from he stepped down from the chairmanship of his Revolt TV media company last year, as more than a dozen companies filed his e-commerce platform in January. Liquor giant Diageo cut him loose in a private settlement under which Combs will no longer be a joint owner of the tequila brand De Leon or have any ties to Ciroc vodka. So now you're talking about clothing lines not being able to be in department stores, Ciroc vodka, tequila, De Leon, Revolt TV, he sold those shares a week or so ago. Money. That's money he's losing. This is the latest information, everybody. Rolling Stone, Yahoo, Entertainment is the source. So we got a lot of allegations, and now we have a new one pertaining to his son, Christian. Goes by King, by the late Kim Porter. Very interesting. Let's also go into Belly the Beast to the other son, Justin, who has hired a high-profile lawyer who represented John Gotti and El Chapo. Well, as you see, John Gotti was finally charged with his crimes, the RICO Act, sentenced to prison and died in there, and El Chapo is currently incarcerated. So good luck with that. But let's hear what they have to say about Justin. Boy, these people are busy. So now we got the sons involved. Hello, everybody. 77 viewing. Thank you so much. What do you all have to say about this nonsense? Because because it's wicked. Now that we got these sons involved, Yahoo.com is the source pertaining to Justin, everybody. Us Weekly is also the source. What a mess. Before being detained by federal agents, Sean Diddy Combs' oldest son, Justin Combs, was named in a lawsuit against his father that mentioned sex trafficking. According to court documents obtained by Us Weekly on Tuesday, March 26, Justin, 29, is one of the defendants alongside Diddy, 54, in an amended complaint brought on by music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones. In the new docs, the phrase sex trafficking is mentioned 50 times. Naturally, everybody knows about the Homeland Security raid on the 25th, and two of the homes were raided, the one in LA, the one in Miami. Justin was detained alongside his brother, King, 25. Justin is the oldest child. It is unclear if Diddy was on the property at the time of the raid. The rapper was spotted at the Miami International Airport just hours later, per a video obtained by TMZ. Both Justin and King were released without charges. Naturally, Mr. Dyer, Diddy's attorney, Aaron Dyer, has gone on and on about complaining about the raid, that it was malicious style and over the top. Well, as I said, it's the government. So what's the problem? What can you do about it? This is what's funny to me. It says, in a statement to us, Diddy's attorney, Sean Hawley, called Jones a liar and vehemently denied the allegations. Lil Rod is nothing more than a liar who filed a $30 million lawsuit shamelessly looking for an undeserved payday, read the statement. His reckless name-dropping about events that are pure fiction and simply did not happen is more than a transparent attempt to garner headlines. So basically, they're complaining that the lawyers are just doing this through the media. Well, this is what they do. They always go forward to talk about what's going on with their clients, and they give a briefing to the public, to the news. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. Everybody goes to the news to tell of a lawsuit. There's also information pertaining to Miss JLo. Don't know if this is true, but a source says she regrets ever having any dealings with Sean. Obviously, doesn't know anything about the gun incident at the club. But Lil Rod states that Sean confided in him that he was the shooter at that nightclub and that JLo was the one that brought the gun in. Now, how does she carry it in? A clutch bag? In her underwear? What? Don't know if that's true, but allegedly that's what Lil Rod claims in his lawsuit, okay? But she has told a source, allegedly, don't know if this is true or not, that she regrets ever meeting him, talking to him, dating him, and that she only stayed with him out of fear and for security because she was receiving death threats, she and he. So I don't know if the death threats were because of the club incident. So she was scared, I guess, to what? Break up with him, be on her own. But eventually you left him and you went on to date different celebrity men, JLo. And you're also currently married to Mr. Ben Affleck. Mr. Ben Affleck, how do you feel about this new the raid on your wife's ex-boyfriend? Could care less? Possibly so. It's all a big mess. What people are going to ask is the obvious. Would anyone that brings forward an allegation, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you file a report? So I'm going to ask this question one more time before I get off this subject. Why didn't the girl who was the stewardess working on the yacht, did she file a police report that she was sexually assaulted? Because most people are going to think that she didn't, because we haven't heard anything about a lawsuit, a police report, but allegedly she does have bruises. Lil Rod has audio pertaining to the woman trying to get the son off of her, Christian. He recorded it. It looks like Lil Rod was doing a lot of recording, snapping pictures, taking videos, assumingly videos. So what all has he shown the feds pertaining to Sean and allegations against him, sex acts, coercion, bribery, blackmail? What all does he have? Now, I was reading something or listening to something, it might have been Law and Crime or something, about what Sean would have as far as evidential material against people, such as, like videos and everything. And someone said he wouldn't be stupid enough to have those things around in his house. Okay, well, think about that for just a second. If I'm taping you, I've got cameras all through my house, I've got people doing all type of things at my parties, functions, whatever, and I've got them on tape. Don't you think he would want to look at the videos at some point? What am I supposed to believe? He's got all these videos in a vault at the bank or in a storage unit, and when he decides he wants to watch the porn, he goes to the storage unit or the bank vault and pulls out a few discs and bring them home and look at them? I don't think so. I think he has a cache of videos somewhere in one of those houses. May not be thousands, but he's got some videos. And I believe he has them. He had them on his person in his house. Like I said, maybe not all. But if you're a sadist and you're into this type of behavior, you're going to want to look at your crafty work, okay? Your craft work. Why would you not? That defeats the purpose of taping people. I'm going to tape the people, but I'm not going to ever go look at the videos. Hell yeah, I'm going to go look if that's what I'm into. And I'm sure he had some videos lying around. I'm sure he probably had some on his phone. Because you got to remember, he's not expecting the feds to come busting in his house looking for anything. He didn't know anything about the investigation. And obviously, he's not that important to where somebody decided to drop a dime or go run to him and say, hey, we're going to let you know the feds are on their way. You better get out of town. He's not that important. Because if he was that important, one, there would not have been a raid. There would have never been a raid. There wouldn't have been a raid on 2 houses. They wouldn't have gone in the house, both houses. So he's not that important. He's important only to himself. And that's the bottom line. All right. That's the latest. JLo regrets ever having anything to do with him, allegedly, says a source. I guess claiming no knowledge of what happened in that club. So I'm going to ask JLo, because you're never going to tell the truth anyway. Did you carry the gun in there that night when that young lady got shot? Did you see Puff Daddy Diddy with the gun? Did you see him shoot someone? And did he tell you to lie to say you never had the gun, you never brought the gun in, and that you didn't see him shoot? Because I want to know why all these years later, he would tell Lil Rod that you carried the gun in and he did shoot the gun. Now, everyone knows rapper Sean got 10 years for this debacle. But now it's being said he didn't do the shooting or a shooting. So what's the truth? Who shot whom? Hell, was it more than one gun? I'm just asking. Did Sean have his own gun? Did they frisk everybody coming in? Because that's the one question nobody's asking. How did you get into a nightclub in New York with a gun? Hell, even back in those days, you would assume there would be security to frisk everybody, search everybody, have the wand or whatever security measurements they would use even back then. So is it because they were celebrities, you say, oh, we'll just let them get a pass, come on through, but you search everybody else? This is where I'm confused. How is it that any of them got in there with a gun? So then you got to now ask, if they're shooting, did other people shoot back? So that means they had a gun. The other people who were shooting. It's all a big mess. Non-stop. Next conversation is about Riley Strange. Still, his family, they are asking questions about his death in the river. They're now saying he had a belt on. Is that true? How do they know he had a belt on? If nobody took a picture, if nobody saw him with the belt on, how do they know he had a belt on? Are you just assuming he had a belt because he's known to wear a belt? Did Riley Strange wear a belt that night when he went out on the town with his friends? And why haven't the friends contacted his parents? Said hello. We're so sorry. Explain what happened that night. Because I'm starting to wonder if this is more sinister than random people doing something to him, because there's no evidence of foul play. So I want you to role play with me for just a little while. Could it be his friends gave him the wrong directions? Okay. Oh, you're welcome, honey. You're welcome. Anytime. Yes, it's a very good movie. Yes. I'm glad you liked it. Anybody that's watching this live stream, if you like good movies, thrillers, whatever, I post them to my community board. So just run through, and I've got a lot of suggestions. I put up maybe 3 suggestions for this week for your entertainment, and I believe all of them are on Tubi. If you just log on to your Tubi app on your TV or your phone, however you watch your movies. You're going to hear in this commentary by News Nation, his father is speaking with Mr. Dingman, the close family friend. They haven't heard from the friends. So now here we are a month or so later, just now hearing finally somebody saying it. Friends haven't called the parents, said 2 damn words. And I got a sneaky suspicion the woman who said she heard Riley Strange talking on the phone that night on speakerphone, and the guys or whomever was saying, oh, he's okay, we got him. Could they have deliberately guided him in the wrong direction? Because this is what's strange to me. Allegedly, when they talked to the police, they were able to pinpoint where he was on Snapchat. Okay? So you had access some type of way to find him, because he must have had his GPS open on the Snapchat app. So if you knew where he was going, were you checking it through the night? Were you checking it when you were talking to him on the phone, if indeed that's who he was talking to? A frat brother or frat brothers? So that's the question that needs to be answered. Was he speaking to a frat brother or frat brothers while he was walking around disoriented downtown Nashville? And were they watching him walk around disoriented and never told him that he was going in the wrong direction? Because that will be, there's no words for that. So that's what I want to know. You knew at some point he was over by the sheriff's office or whatever the place is. When did you find out? That night? While in the bar? When you left out the bar? When you got back to the hotel room? Or when you woke up and realized he wasn't anywhere around? Or were you periodically checking the phone to see him aimlessly walking around like a duck out of water and getting some type of enjoyment out of it? Look at this fool. He's just walking around in fucking circles. And then he met his demise some type of way by falling into the river. Because all that's strange to me. Because one, I don't know why he would be over by the river. And if you all were talking to him, whoever you all are, he should have never been by the river in the first damn place. This is why I always tell people you have to think about the information. Make it make sense. If you are guiding someone to a hotel or to a location, how the fuck would he end up at the river in the first place? Because the river is nowhere near the hotel, and it ain't nowhere, it's away from the bar. So if he's trying to get back home to the hotel and he's talking to you all, say it again. Why would he be over there by the river? Was this an intricate plan by the friends? Played a prank on him or guided him over there by the river to spite him? Knew he was drunk, somebody had an attitude or ill will towards him, were these people really his friends? How about that? Because they have yet to talk to the family. Let's chop that up. Thank you. Hope you all are well. Oh yeah, kind of like ATM. If you ever seen ATM, it's also on Tubi. It might be leaving soon, so you might want to go in the library and check it out before it leaves. But it's similar to ATM. Same type of diabolical mind games.
Joining us now is Riley Strain's father, Ryan Gilbert, joined by family friend Chris Dingman, and also joining us is private investigator Steve Fisher. Ryan, I just got to start with you. I can't imagine what you and your family are going through. How are you guys holding up?
We're doing the best we can. We're still focused on trying to find some answers, and that's the direction we're continuing right now. But we're holding up.
What specifically do you still need answers about? Obviously, we don't know how he wound up in the river. Are you convinced, or do you suspect, or do you worry that foul play was somehow involved, even though Nashville police have ruled it out?
Of course, we worry about it. We're waiting for the results to come back in, so hopefully that'll give us some answers. Everything we got back so far has done nothing but produce more questions for us. So we're going to take what we can get and see if it doesn't answer some things for us. Hopefully it will.
I know that you've been told that often when people fall into a river, they can lose parts of their clothes, or their shoes even. But you have maintained that he was wearing a belt that night, and it doesn't make sense because you maintain the belt would have kept his pants on. Is that because he wore it tightly?
I would say that being the way he was built, I'm similar build, and if I forget my belt, I go back and get it. I mean, I can't go without a belt, so I'd say he probably had it cinched up and had it on that night.
Chris, the last time you were on the show just a few nights ago, and you said you were waiting for these toxicology results. Still waiting tonight?
Unfortunately, we are. We've been told it can take anywhere from 6 weeks to 12 weeks, and some have had to wait 90+ days. Unfortunately, we have no control over that, but I think there'll be a lot of pieces of the puzzle that do show up with those toxicology reports. But in the meantime, there's definitely a group of people we would still love to possibly contact. That's in a couple of those last videos, just so we can find.
Once again, contact the people to hear what exactly? Because you got to ask yourself, as I said before, with the last information pertaining to the shirt, and then he floated up with the shirt on, do you really trust the truth of anything? Because now we got to ask, who's going to come forward to say what they saw or didn't see? The woman who said she overheard him on the phone talking to somebody. He said he was drunk. He said he was drunk. Yeah. She said something about, you shouldn't be driving, blah, blah, blah. And he said he could barely walk. Was that conversation the truth? Did it even happen? And then him talking on the phone to somebody. Who is that somebody? Will they ever come forward to say, yes, we were talking to him? What the conversation was about? Were they trying to guide him back to the hotel? Because like I said, because nobody's talked about this in their live streams that I know of or on the news. If someone was on the phone or more, you didn't notice that he was drunk? You didn't ask him where he was going? What was the conversation? Did you all talk to him about his location and where he was going? And what did he tell you? And did he ask for help? Did he tell you he was lost? Did you say, oh yeah, we see where you are. We're going to guide you back to the hotel, or we're going to guide you back to this other bar? See, we don't know because nobody's talking. Nobody's talking. And I want to know why not. And some people may feel like they don't owe anybody an explanation. Well, you owe those people an explanation because now you're going to hear in this audio, those friends haven't said 2 fucking words to them, to the family. So hell yeah, you owe somebody an explanation. And it's just like what I told people. You don't really know what they told the police. You don't know what they said about anything. You don't know what information they've given the police, if it's the truth or not. How are you going to know? Because we don't even know what they told the police, and we don't know anything. All we know is that little 911 call. That's it. So right now, this family wants to still talk to people who they think was on the street talking to him or walked by him. How are you going to find those people? Because if they're not paying attention, that was Riley Strain that they walked by, it's water under the bridge. And most people in Nashville or anybody that was traveling, they've heard the story. Anybody that's living in the Nashville area, anyone that was downtown that night would possibly remember seeing him because he is a big guy. And you've heard nothing except for a homeless guy talking about a shirt and told it to some other people. And then a woman who allegedly feeds the homeless heard the conversation, blah, blah, blah. But then weeks later, Riley floats up 8 miles down the river in that damn shirt. So what I'm saying is, what information are you trying to get from other people that would be factual and truthful? Because you've already been down the rabbit hole about a shirt. So why would you now trust anything else coming out to be factual? That's just my opinion.
Find out more answers.
What answers, like what people in particular are you looking to talk to?
There's a group of people that were on scooters that evening that's over by the detention center, which doesn't show Riley, but it was the first video where Riley would have been if he would have kept moving forward. There was people standing by cars. When the police body cam turns around, you can actually see him looking back towards where Riley was walking, and there was a door open and some people standing outside there. Just a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was at 10 o'clock at night, so it wasn't like 2 in the morning. And that actually was a very happening spot due to the footage we have been released.
Yeah, I imagine so. And also, apparently, according to the couple who saw him and said, "Whoa, you're not driving, are you?" And he laughed and said, "No, I can't even walk straight." They said he was on speakerphone with his fraternity brothers who were telling him to just keep walking or something like that. Have you been able to talk to the fraternity brothers, either of you, to get any information about were they trying to direct him back to the hotel?
No, we haven't spoke with them. We haven't really heard that much from them. They're the ones that was with Riley that night, the last night he was with us. So, there's a lot of things we'd like to find out from them.
Wait a minute, you haven't talked to them? They haven't made any effort to reach out to you?
It's ridiculous.
No, not really, no.
Wow, I gotta be honest, I'm a little surprised by that because obviously the very first night I heard about this story, the first thing I did was tell my 2 sons, who were about the same age as Riley, a few years younger, and I said, if you're ever out with a friend and one of your friends gets too drunk, you don't leave that kid alone. You go with him and make sure he gets home safely.
Absolutely. If I was in their situation, I'd be beating down those parents' doors to tell them everything I could and be helpful in any way.
Well, see, Mr. Gilbert, this is where this is a problem. You have said adamantly the past couple weeks that you did not care about what happened at the bar. See, sometimes you put your foot in your mouth. And this is not being mean, this is just being truthful. You put your foot in your mouth by saying, I don't want to know what happened at the bar. I'm not worried about the bar, what happened at the bar. I'm only worried about what happened when he got on the street. I'm only worried about, him walking over by the river, what was done by the river. Okay, so now he's floated up, getting autopsies saying no foul play, waiting on toxicology reports. What will they reveal? Now you say, oh, we haven't heard from his friends. They haven't contacted us. Not really. They should be beating down our door. Because that's what you should have been saying back then. But you all do what a lot of people do. You don't want to ruffle feathers. You don't want to say anything to offend anybody. But in the end, Riley is your child. And if you believe that something happened to him nefarious, or not even nefarious, you just want to get information to what led up to how he got over there, you have that right. And I wouldn't care what anyone thinks because those children are alive. All the guys that went on the trip are breathing, except for Riley Strain. So if you want to ask them what happened, you have every right to ask. If you request for them to come talk to you, you have every right. Will they comply? That's a whole different ballgame. But you have every right to say, hey, what happened? Who said what? Because as I've told people, That's the only way you're going to get to the bottom of what really happened to him is if you ask questions. What was his mood like? Just because he was sending his mother pictures and whoever he's talking to, Snapchatting, IG, whatever, that doesn't mean nothing compared to that, to walking out the bar, because those are different time zones. What I'm doing an hour ago is not what's going on once somebody asks me to get the fuck out their bar. Somebody say, hey, I want you to leave. And you've heard it before, and it's common sense. No one is going to ask you to leave a bar unless you were doing something. Whether that was being loud, boisterous, pushing, shoving, acting out, talking loud, derogatory, making passes at women, men, whatever. Nobody's just going to ask you to get out. And you want me to believe he was the only inebriated person in a bar that probably had hundreds of people in it. That's why I know this is bullshit. And maybe they need to take their focus off of the people out here in the street and focus on the little group that he traveled with. Because your answers start with the fraternity. What happened in the bar? Why didn't you walk out with him, friend? Where did you all go after you left the bar? What time did you all leave the bar? Did you all talk to Riley while in the bar or out of the bar? What time did you all get home? Who's the roommate and you didn't notice that he wasn't in the room? Too drunk to care, too drunk to call 911. See where I'm going? 16 or so hours later. So that's where they should start, is with the friends. Because if he's walking around drunk, and it can be verified through Snapchat, IG, or his phone service, that he talked to one of those guys or girls or whomever, something is off. Because you should be able to tell your friend is drunk. And at one point you see him with his arm extended out like he's talking on like video chat. So if you're looking at him, you can see that he's inebriated and that he's disoriented. And I would have asked him, well, where are you exactly? Give me a location to where you are, store name, something, have a seat, and I will Google you directions to get to where you need to go. And maybe he'd be alive today. Because his posture walking by the cop naturally is different than what we saw minutes beforehand. So something's up. Now, I don't know if he just got scared once he saw the cop, but you got to ask yourself how you go all the way from a bar, go to another bar, they tell you can't get in, guess because he was too drunk, to end up over there by the river, to end up falling over, what, a rail, a bridge, what? Because we really don't know where he fell. We just know a card ended up on the rocks found by a TikToker. But you still got to explain how the hell you're up here on a sidewalk and you laying all the way down an embankment for your card to fall out your pocket. And we did learn the water was higher. So those rocks probably would have been covered up with water. If we're talking about 4 to 7 feet, the rocks would have been covered up. So perhaps he had the card in his pocket. I'll just keep it in my pocket, you know, so I don't have to keep digging in my wallet. And then somehow, however he landed down the embankment, tumbled down, fell into the water, and the card fell out of his pocket. Either shirt pocket or jean pocket. I don't know. Belt situation, I haven't a clue. You don't have anybody to verify he wore a belt, you are back to square one. He was under that water for almost 2 weeks. Friday to 2 weeks to the next Friday. So, did he get hung up on something under the water, his pants? Because you're talking about he floated 8 miles down. That's a nice little ways to be floating underwater. And he was under a bar, as a matter of fact. There you have it. So imagine barging away, log was allegedly on top of his head. If they had never got moved that barge, Who knows how long it would have been before we got information of him coming up or being seen. That barge had to be out the way. Would he have stayed afloat on top of the water? See, I don't know. But you need to start with those friends, the family. It is now time for you all to not worry about ruffling feathers and worry about what people are going to think of you. That's your child. That's your family member. And obviously, Mr. Dingman, good friend of the family, these kids, to me, there's something off with them because they know more. And that's the whole point. Riley could have been in his feelings because he got kicked out. He's gone out of town to have fun with his friends, and he's the only one kicked out of a bar. You don't think he would be embarrassed by that? You don't think he would feel some type of way about that? Of course he would. And I don't think anybody is focusing on that. That maybe he was in his feelings. Maybe he felt betrayed. Maybe he felt alone. Maybe he felt depressed. And he decided to go walk over there by that fucking river, or somebody guided him over there. Because you can't make it make any sense that a person is walking around drunk and they don't even say to themselves, let me ask somebody for help. Why not? But that's the point. You got to know Riley to know the answers to that. Because the river is not across the street from Loop 32 Bridge. Let's make that clear. You're talking about a 15-minute interval from being kicked out of the bar to a phone pings. And then allegedly, they say his phone pinged at 11. Well, under the bridge, it stops at 9:58. So where's your 1 hour and 2 minutes? Very strange. No wallet has been recovered. No phone has been recovered. No pants. No belt. No boots. Are they in the river? Third topic of the hour, the hottest topic on YouTube. Katie Proudfoot, Chris Proudfoot, and Seth Rogers. Boy, what a mess. I was so tired today. That's why I didn't come on earlier, because I really was just exhausted. I'm not getting enough sleep, so I had to just relax when I got in today. I just couldn't get the strength to come on, but I decided I wanted to get this topic over with, knock down my topics. Also, Kenneth Wayne DeHart, who shot the deputy in in Blount County, and attempted murder of another deputy. Right now, he's got, I believe, 21 charges on an indictment for the murder of the Blount County deputy and attempted murder of a deputy. So he's facing 21 charges. Kenneth Wayne DeHart Jr., African-American male. Why he chose to shoot these people, I do not know. If he had marijuana in his SUV, grandmother's SUV, that fateful night, he should have just took the charge. Because right now, he'd be walking free and just paying court costs and fines and probation. That's it. Unless he had something else in there. All right. Katie Proudfoot. Katie has decided to talk. Before I get started on this nonsense about Katie Proudfoot, this is what you don't want. As somebody commented on my channel, I believe it was yesterday, saying that they really hate that this case is playing out on YouTube, the personal business. But that's what you have to expect when people go to YouTube to start talking. One, you have a missing kid, or let's say missing person. Once a relative, friend, whomever is involved in the story decides to go to YouTube or social media and they start talking about personal things, this is what you're going to get right here. He said, she said, and it's up to you to decide what's the truth. A lot of allegations against the child by Chris. Said some ugly things to Seth's mother, that the boy child's a pedophile. We don't have any proof to that. Chris told him, I told you everything that happened with the child, and the allegation of a child touching him, a person touching him inappropriately. This is bad. allegations that Seth abused the boy child out in California. He's denying abusing his child. Also, I believe there's allegations against Katie that she's been abusive to the child. The one thing I thought interesting is going to Facebook. You know, I don't go to Facebook often, but every blue moon, I'll trade over there to do a little digging just to see what I can see about the people. And photographs sometimes can tell you a little bit of something about people. What I found interesting is that, Katie, you don't have any newer pictures on your Facebook page, do you? I don't know if it's because I'm not your friend or whatever, but the point is, just looking, you don't have any newer pictures of yourself. And I always wonder about that, because you are a little bit heavier than you were 12 years ago, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, your hair was more blonde, and Sebastian was younger, of course, in that profile picture, which I find interesting. No newer photos of yourself. This post that everybody's been talking about, it's not up there, because I looked earlier and I looked before going live. Did you take it down? And if you did, why? Also, why post it, take it down? Because, you know, police are going to be looking at all of that. And as this one guy said on his YouTube channel, there's no way I don't believe that police are not looking at this as a criminal investigation. And I would agree, because that's the point. You don't know what they have, and they don't have to tell us. Christopher, for about 2 weeks of you posting, you don't have anything about Sebastian on your feed. Why is that? Is it because once you and Katie packed up and went to Memphis, Mississippi, or wherever, you checked out formally? Well, one could say if you unalived the boy, you checked out then. And you were probably checked out when you were with Katie and being with her and the kid, and so on and so forth. But see, Facebook tells you a lot about people, especially when you're talking about true crime. And when you start seeing a person having older pictures of themselves, which is strange. Why, Katie? You don't have any newer pictures of yourself with your long red hair? I'm confused. Christopher, you haven't posted anything about the child, anything pertaining to the news updates or the searches? Nothing. Why is that? Help me understand. You don't have anything up there. Nancy Grace, nothing. I'm confused. Let's read this post and get down to business. Thank you for joining me. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Hello. That child was not 13, and we did not allow my son to be abused. Pay close attention. Not, capital letters, N-O-T, 13. And we did not allow N-O-T again, capital letters. As this guy was saying that does linguistics analysis, I believe he's from the UK or abroad. I was listening to him earlier, in and out of sleep. You have to pay attention to languages and how people talk. Well, I was listening to him talk about one of their conversations, one of Chris's interviews, and then somebody else I was listening to was talking about this post here, that child. That child is something I would say, because one, I don't know Sebastian, and I would be talking about him as an outsider. I can either say the child, that child, or I can call him by his government name, Sebastian. That child seems off-putting, and you're the mother. Is everybody following me? That child was not 13, and we did not allow my son to be abused, exclamation point. We contacted all capital letters authorities. My son received all capital letters, the available help he could get. Multiple therapists involved, exclamation point. His doctor did, capital letters, DID. No, because he went to the doctor and got checked immediately, exclamation point. Seth was involved in his therapy as well. There is so many lies in this, capital letters, story, including him, failing to mention where Seth got banned from the base for his violent tendencies, where at the time my son was seeing psychiatrists and psychologists to help him with his trauma from Seth's abuse. and the trauma from being assaulted by this child. Let me be clear. I think it's sickening that this man is airing my son's trauma online. Exclamation point. My son deserves better than that! Exclamation point. When we find him, and I believe in my heart we will, the truth will, W-I-L-L, come out. He is doing his best to slander us as parents, but my son is loved and cared for and always will be. Public opinion based on lies, assumptions, half-truths is rampant because of things like this, which has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. I will not stoop so low as to partake in a back and forth argument with him. God knows the truth, capital G-O-D. And the truth always comes out. And you know what, Katie? I believe that. Sometimes the truth does come out. So that's what we want to know. Will the truth come out as far as where the hell your son is? I'm just saying. Please stop the madness and focus on finding Sebastian, because that, capital letters, T-H-A-T, is the most important thing. Well, hello everybody in the chat. You know I'm getting ready to give you the business. Shut your mouth. So if you are under the age of 18, I suggest you check your little tail about this live stream. Woo! Katie, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna start at the bottom of your letter, your Dear Jane letter. God, G-O-D. What God got to do with this? See, that's a perfect analogy. When you know folks ain't gonna never find out the fucking truth, you say G-O-D. God knows the truth. God knows the truth. Oh, I know he knows the truth. But we ain't talking to God right now. You haven't even searched for your son. What the hell are you talking about? Finding your son. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. Public opinion based on lies, assumptions, half-truths is rampant because of things like this, which has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. First of all, the rampantness is what people do. They talk, they gossip. Number two, you and Mr. Proudfoot put yourselves out here going on YouTube. Didn't nobody tell y'all to carry y'all raggedy asses to YouTube? You did that because you wanted to, because you trying to narrate the story. Send us a narrative. Portray a narrative. So you did that. You and Chris did that. So you need to check yourself. Now, why Seth decided to go ham? Maybe he's fed up. And I feel bad for him, because what's going to be bad, that man ends up having a stroke or a heart attack. He's not eating properly, probably, not sleeping properly. Because I got a feeling you and Chris, y'all sleeping mighty fine down there in Memphis. Y'all sleeping mighty, mighty, mighty fine. When you watch him walk back and forth, if you watch the interviews, he can't even sit still. He's achy, he's moving his arm around, he's using a massager on a fucking live stream. I bet you ain't. I bet you lay back real cozy in that camper, because it looked mighty, mighty new to me. Matter of fact, your camper looks better than most people's apartments. Find Sebastian. You will not partake in a back and forth argument with him. God knows the truth. The truth always comes out. Well, is that coming from a killer? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that during this live stream. Are your comments coming from somebody who unalived their child that they care so much about? He's loved. He's loved by whom? Because I haven't heard from your family. You seem like a mummy when you talk, a zombie. Chris, he got it all figured out when he's speaking about the child. He don't have nothing up there recent since what, March 23rd or so on his Facebook page. Ain't nothing on your Facebook page of any new photos of you. You still living in La La Land. And I'm kind of concerned about the mindset of all of y'all, because all of y'all have been in the military. Maybe something that went wrong with y'all in the military. So did any of y'all serve in a war or what? Because maybe there's some detachment with everybody. And I don't mean no disrespect, but I don't know these people, and I'm not putting my stamp on nothing at this point. Because I know that where there's trauma, there's usually a fallout. That's why you have missing people and dead people. Because there was trauma, there was strife, there was bickering, arguing, distastefulness, dislike. And I got a feeling you all got tired of dealing with that little boy. So you got a lot of nerve to sit up here and tell somebody they need to focus on finding the boy. Has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. You ain't been looking for him. That's a crazy comment coming from you, heifer. You have not been out here looking for your child. You just made up some lame-ass excuse that you running off into the midnight hour with your husband. You ain't doing nothing down there while he at work. Katie, I'm not dumb. Do you know how stupid you sound? Your child is missing and you take off and leave the jurisdiction of your home to say, I'm going with my husband to work. No, bitch, you ain't going to work. He's going to work. You sitting up in that camper, lolly-dolling around, probably looking at everybody's Facebook posts and YouTube videos, talking to yourself in the mirror. I can't believe they're saying those things about me. They really don't know me. They don't know what my life has been like with Seth. They don't know what my life is like with Christopher. They don't know what I go through. I sure don't, heifer, but I know your child missing. And I know that if your child was found right now, what would he be returning home to? What would he be returning home to? Yes, exactly. Loved. Past tense, exactly. We love him. Checkmate. Say it again, Queen. We love Sebastian. I love my child. Say it again, Queen. I love my son. We love Sebastian. The hell you talking about? You need to focus on your son. See, your Facebook page tells everything. That's why I keep telling people, all you got to do is watch people. They tell on themselves. And you two have told on yourselves. You sit up here on YouTube like the whales. You all are eerily similar. That's going to be my next live stream. Proudfoot'S versus the whales. Because you all are all the same. Ain't nobody noticing how ironic it is that in each case, a father, stepfather is calling 911 about a missing child that they're not allegedly around. They're nowhere near the child disappearance. Ding, 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 911, what's your emergency, please? Yes, I'd like to call to report my daughter is missing from Rogersville, Tennessee. Okay, sir, well, can you tell me what happened? What were you doing? Well, she was with my wife, and my wife said, 911, what is your emergency, please? Yes, I'd like to call about my stepson. He's missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Okay, sir, where was he when he went missing, or where were you? Oh, well, you see, I'm down here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm just calling on behalf of my wife because she don't know how to operate the 911 system. Did I clear that up? Two stories. Tennessee, East Tennessee, West Tennessee, where grown men are calling on behalf of a missing child, but they weren't there. You don't find that strange because there's complicity in both stories. Checkmate. We have no proof that Donna Wells wasn't at that house with that little girl or anywhere else because we don't even know where the little girl went missing from. West Tennessee. We don't know where Christopher Proudfoot was. We don't know where you were. We have no proof you were in Memphis, Tennessee. Bring us a receipt. You do construction. That's not the same as where Seth works, where he's on a camera and people can see him walking back and forth, clocking in, clocking out. So we don't know if you were near Hendersonville, in the garage, in the attic. How do we know? 2 children. One in East Tennessee, one in West Tennessee. Both go missing, last seen in the peripheral of a mother, and the mother cannot talk to 911. Why is that? Why is that? Because there's some funny business going on. Same thing with the DeSoto case. Listening to that. 2 or 3 different people are calling 911 on behalf of a little girl missing. Why the mother can't call? You were either with her or you weren't. Which is it? So now you're seeing, in that case, she was in the car with the little girl and the man, the boyfriend. Then it was just the boyfriend and the little girl in the car together, allegedly. Which is it? Florida, East Tennessee, West Tennessee, all eerily similar. Mothers cannot call 911 about the missing child. Why is that? If you saw her, you saw her. If you saw him, you saw him. Now listening to AD's network or something, because I'm not keeping up with all this because I can't. I have to get rest. The little boy has ran away before or what? Who's got the receipt to that? Let's go back up to this nonsense here. The child was not 13, and we did not allow my son to be abused. Well, how old was he, Katie? How old was the boy child? Does it matter? We contacted all the authorities. He received available help, all the available help. Multiple therapists involved. Yeah, forgot to put an S on there. His doctor did know because we went to the doctor, got him checked immediately. So is this when he was sexually abused? You took him to the doctor to make sure? Well, what actually happened with the sexual assault? Because people are going to be curious, not to be, derogatory. What did the person do to your child? Was the child penetrated? And where is that child now? Because I would assume that child is, what, a legal adult now? Where is he now? Because 9 times out of 10, the child that touched your child, somebody been touching that child. And all these allegations from Seth, that really you're not in tune to your child, you didn't watch your child. So that's shit he probably noticed about you back in California when you all were together. That's what I gathered from that interview. That you didn't watch your child, that you were possibly distant from your child. So what I have to ask myself, who are you, Katie Proudfoot? Because all this starts with you. Okay? Who are you? And these allegations that you have made against Seth being abusive, that you just so happen to put in your legal documents to divorce, did you just do that so you figured you get a quick divorce? Because some of us might be thinking you made all that up. I don't know. So now we got to ask that about Seth. Is he abusive to his child? Was he abusive while he was raising his child out in California? Is there anybody that can say they saw him strong-arm the child, curse the child, manhandle the child, spank the child hard? Because a man really don't need to spank children only because their hands are heavier. Now, I grew up with corporal punishment. That's just the way it is. Can't go back, can't take it back. Some people don't believe in corporal punishment with children. Everybody's entitled to his or her opinion. But the one thing I can say is that a lot of children grow up, they don't have any type of discipline, and that's why they're wayward as hell. And then they grow up to become troublemakers if they're not already in grade school and high school. There's a lot being said about you here on YouTube. And people were talking about you anyway before Nina had anything to say and before Seth popped off the other day. Because he popped out, did he not? He popped out. Because I think he's tired and he's exhausted. And he's doing more than what you all are doing. Because you all aren't doing anything. And if the child was found today, where would he go? Please, help me understand. He would bypass Hendersonville to go to Clarksville to Seth. And how do you think that's appropriate when you're the caretaker of the child and you just take off and run off knowing the child is missing? This will lead most of us to believe you know he's not coming back. That's why you left. You've been checked out with raising him for whatever reason. Don't know if you hurt the boy to spite Seth. He's supposed to be getting custody allegedly. Why is that? The boy didn't want to go home with you, didn't want to live with you. Why is that? Why does your child not want to live with you if I'm to believe that? Were you and Chris abusing him? Physically and verbally abusing him? Is this a way to get back at Seth? I'll show you. You're not getting ready to take care of him. You're not about to get any monies for him. That's money out my pocket. What's the truth? Did you receive any type of SSI for your son, ma'am? Because if he gets them, it'll be up to him to decide if he wants to ask you for child support. I don't know if Seth would want money from you or not, or just expect you to give money when you felt like it. I don't know, because I don't know him. I don't know what you two have discussed. I know there's a lot about what was going on in your house I don't think Seth was in tune to. Because he's been asked a lot of questions by different networks, and he did not have the answers for the questions. So I don't know if it's just he didn't want to tell people the truth of what he know and what he suspected. But this is some bullshit. And I refuse to believe that when Seth first showed up to your house, he didn't have an idea that possibly you all are behind the disappearance of Sebastian. Because if he's just now waiting 5 weeks to tell us the truth about what was going on with you all, he had to have thought y'all have done something to his son, and he just didn't want to say anything. You know where he is, Katie, Chris. That's why you're not looking for him. That's why, Chris, you don't got nothing on that Facebook page going back 3rd week of March. I could pull your Facebook count up right now, and you ain't shared shit on there this week. Because you checked out. That's why you and Katie are basically on the run. Y'all got some Jay-Z, Beyonce shit going on right now. That shows us, the viewing audience, you don't care about this little boy. So you putting up this $2 ass post like you care for your son. You don't give a fuck about your son because you would have never left your house. Talking about all this shit about he didn't went to therapy for trauma, this, that, and the other. Seth's abuse and the trauma from being assaulted by this child. Let me be clear. I think it's sickening that this man is airing my son's trauma online. Well, like somebody said on their YouTube channel, they think it's sickening you ain't looking for your son. They think it's sickening that you have left. Your child could walk up to the house right now, put the code in. Hell, you probably didn't change the code. And if you ain't changed it, there's nobody there. So just imagine somebody dropped the kid off. Let's say he was kidnapped. Let's say he walked out the door, lured, whatever. They let him go. He walks up to the door. 1, he can't even get the fuck in. 2, if he can get in, where's my mommy? Where are the dogs? He's sitting here in an empty ass house. And would he have the fortitude to go use a neighbor's phone? Do you all have a home phone since you don't have no ADT or Brink security in your house? Do you have a home phone? Do you have a landline, Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot? So if your son comes home right now, he can get in the fucking door. He can call somebody to say, hi, I'm home. Do you know where my mommy is? Does he know your number by heart? You and Chris's number, Seth's number? We grown and don't know other people's fucking numbers by heart. Let me be clear. I think it's sickening, this man airing this out. Yeah, I think what you and Chris have been doing is sickening. Running a YouTube like these YouTubers getting ready to pay your fucking light bill and your mortgage. Let's see where these YouTubers are when something ugly comes back that links you to the disappearance of your child. Let's see where all your little YouTuber friends will be. All the people who have interviewed you. Let's see how that pans out. I'd like to do an interview with you. Oh, that's okay. We declined. We have a lawyer now. Bullshit. He's doing his best to slander us as parents. Are you a parent? Have you been a parent? See, the one thing people just act like they don't understand about true crime. There's a reason Sebastian is missing. Because there's been problems in the household. I don't think he was lured. I don't think he walked out. Could he have walked out? Sure. Could he have wandered out? Sure. I don't think so. Because there's no verification of proof of life after Texas Roadhouse. There's no proof that your husband was not in Hendersonville, Tennessee that weekend. There's no proof he made it to the house. There's no proof he was in a bed. No proof to nothing. That's why Seth, when he went to see you, he should have searched that house up and down. I want to see what he had on at Texas Roadhouse. Let me see his phone. Let me see everything. I'm the daddy, let me see. Like I said in the other live, I would have went through your laundry room. I would have went through your washing machine. I would have went through your dryer. I would have went in his room, under his bed, dresser drawers, closets, everything. I would have went in his bathroom. I would have went outside of the house, front of the house, and I would have talked to the neighbors. And that's something, Seth, you have not done. You should have talked to those neighbors. Have you noticed anything strange over here? I'm Sebastian's father. I live in Clarksville. Here's my number. You see or hear anything, give me a call. You haven't talked to nobody. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't sugarcoat shit. You follow this network, you will learn that about Queen. Because you can't get to the truth if you're afraid to talk. If you're afraid to ask hard questions, then you could just keep your head in the sand. You are never going to get to the truth because a lot of people don't like getting involved in stuff. And this is one of the type of things that people don't want to get involved. And I believe the Proudfoot'S are some dirty motherfuckers down there in West Tennessee. I think he got some crooked ass family members. And I believe some of them probably know what happened to Sebastian. Some probably helped cover it up. And they're going to keep covering for him. That's the reason why they were fucking with the YouTubers allegedly. So if they'll fuck with them, they'll fuck with you. You people better wake up. There's some dirty folks down there. You don't know people. And if they'll get rid of a 15-year-old, they'll get rid of a 50-year-old. Why not? What's the difference? Please stop the madness. And focus on finding Sebastian because that is the most important thing. You ain't even looking for him. How you gonna tell somebody to go look for him? And you ain't looking for him. Okay. Katie, this advice Queen gonna give you and your husband. Stop talking to YouTubers. Stop posting to social media. Don't do any more YouTube videos. Go take your ass back to Hendersonville and unlock your front door and wait for the authorities to come bring you information about your son if you are so concerned in finding your child. That's the best advice I would give to you. But I know you're not coming back to Hendersonville because you don't have no reason to. How about that? You have no reason to. You're not doing nothing down there in Mississippi, Memphis, or wherever the hell you are. You don't have a job allegedly, or you took off from your job, which makes no sense. Why? Don't you have bills to pay? Well, we know you got one mouth less to feed. What's the truth to these allegations? Have they all been abusing the boy? How about that? Have they all been abusing the child? Have we been misled by Seth? I don't know. He seems the only one in tune. But is he stirring the narrative for us to think these are two horrible parents, mother and stepfather? Could it be they're all horrible? I don't know. But I can only go by what I see and what I hear. And sometimes sin is not the truth. And we have learned that sometimes what you see, that's not the truth. So what is the truth pertaining to these people? Because I'm trying to get an understanding, and I can't. One second, everybody. Trying to find. It's a hot mess. Real hot mess. Thank you all so much for joining me. This is a 3-part live pertaining to P. Diddy and the allegations against his son, Christian. I believe it's the youngest son, King. There's a new sexual assault allegation against him by a young lady who was a stewardess on a yacht that belonged to Puff Daddy a few years ago. She's claiming sexual assault by Christian King Combs. Raleigh Strange's family are still not content with the findings of the autopsies. They're wanting to talk to other people who are in the area when the son went missing. And his friends have not talked to the family members, which I find very peculiar. And as I said earlier, could it be that his friends set him up to send him on a wild goose chase walking near that river, and the young man met his fate? Got sick, got hurt, fell over, bumped his head. Was he actually dead when he hit the water? Not much water in the lungs, or no water? Dry drowning? I don't know. It's a lot of strange stuff. But if he was talking to his friends, someone should have been able to guide him back to the hotel. So we need to hear who he was talking to on the phone before he ventured over by the river. Gonna call somebody to see if they got something they want to say about this nonsense with Katie Proudfoot. These people are stupid. Stupid people. Yes, nobody who cared would leave their child, would leave knowing their child was missing. Exactly. Nobody would. Let's hear from AB. Please check out his network. AB has uploaded a lot of content in the past 24 hours. I'm going to try to play a little bit of everything pertaining to a little bit of this and that from his network. Got to pick and choose what I want to play. Let's see. Let's go back to some of the Nancy Grace commentary from
Somebody washers
from AB.
are so
Sorry
boring.
about that.
And some deserve to be put on a pedestal.
Sorry.
We need it.
Hold on.
CPS worker because she had been to the house before.
All right. Let's play a little bit of this information from AB, everybody. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you. I tell you what.
He went on to explain heroically.
I don't know why this. Oh, I tell you, my networks. Nothing wants to play right today.
Nancy Grace caught a gem on her panel. Now, if you remember back to Chris Proudfoot being up there when he was asked about disciplining, corporal punishment, hitting Sebastian, in other words, with that belt only one time.
Before I let AB finish this, did they use corporal punishment against the boy child? If they spanked him, how often did they spank him? How many times did he throw away his toys, items that were on the floor in his bedroom when he didn't clean up his room? What's the truth? I'm not going to believe anything that the Proudfoots have to say pertaining to Sebastian, only because they've been caught changing their version in their interviews since the child went missing. Versions initially given to the news have changed versus what they told Nancy Grace, other podcasters. So if you will make up stuff and change stuff, why would I believe anything about how you discipline a child? How many times you hit a child? I don't think you all like the child. I think you all got tired of taking care of an autistic child. That's what I think. That's what I believe. I think you checked out. Chris, you don't even like children. You don't like children. You don't like women. You don't like yourself. So I don't know why you keep getting with women that have children. This is baffling to me. Lots of women out here single, they don't want kids. So why don't you go find you a woman that doesn't have children? Chris, have you abused Katie Proudfoot? Are you abusing her? Are you faithful to her? As I've asked many times in my live streams. Because I won't doubt that you're not faithful. You met one wife on a date site. How did you meet Katie? Curious. Katie, were you having an affair with him while he was still married to Nina? I believe Chris is the reason why you wanted a divorce. He may not have been abusing your child because we got to have receipts. You met Chris. He was your shining knight, your way out.
Do you remember when she asked him when that happened, how many years ago? It was so many years ago, and his excuse was, you know, he mentioned 15-year-old boy mixed in with that. Well, you didn't discipline him when he was a 15-year-old boy. Thereby, your justification in that moment was an excuse, a BS excuse, a little bit of shade so you wouldn't have to actually address the reasoning and logic behind it, because you know how inappropriate other people will find it. Let's have a look. Bam, 1618 from Nancy Grace's video yesterday. Autistic boy Sebastian Rogers' glasses found.
And speaking to various witnesses, Mr. Proudfoot tells me to my face that he hit Sebastian with a belt. This is an autistic boy. An autistic boy. Do they, at his level of severity of autism, and I've got an expert, Courtney Lasky, is going to explain this to me. I did not teach this in law school. How would that affect a child with autism? But that said, I want to focus on what I'm hearing, Dave, Matt. Help me, Dave. I'm hearing that it happened years ago. In both of those quotes where you heard Chris Proudfoot speaking, he said several years ago. Then he says, when I press him on that, he says at least 3 years ago. However, he stated a different scenario to a different person. Explain, Dave Mack.
He did a YouTube interview, and in that interview, he described the actual belt whack. And, you know, in your interview, he said that the belt whack did not lead to a CPS call. However,
No, stop. I asked you about the age of Sebastian when Sebastian was hit with a belt. One thing at a time, brother. The
He's
age of
right.
Sebastian, he said it was 3 years ago.
He said in another interview that the 15-year-old boy was upset. He was in trouble. He said he's 15 and in trouble.
15 and in trouble. Well, didn't you smack him in the ass like a few years ago? Well, that would make him around 11, 12.
He was describing why Sebastian was mad about the punishment, the whack. And he said, 15-year-old boy punished.
Take the pose.
Now, that's not 3 years ago. That's within the last 12 months.
That is within the same year that Sebastian goes missing. That
Also,
is a
like
significant point.
And in your interview, Katie agreed with it. She was saying at least 3 years.
Yes, she did. You're right.
Birthday was
You're absolutely
December-
right. What? What's that?
His birthday, December 7th. He just turned 15.
So he's only been 11, 10,
Okay, the
11
significance of that
when he was hitting with the belt.
is that he had not.
So if that's to be true, we're to believe that, we should, because Sebastian told his teacher that at school. So this incident, which she's so standoffish about, so quick to...
When he was whipped with the belt by Christopher Proudfoot, was it heavy? Left marks, bruises, indentations? You only spanked them one whip, one swipe. Is that true? Christopher Proudfoot. Katie, did you spank your child? Were you abusive to your child, verbally abusive? See, I know there's something off anyway. Your first interview told me everything I needed to know. I didn't have to hear from Nina. I didn't have to hear from Seth popping off. Your first interview, honey. See, once you told the world that your child is not going anywhere, he's not doing anything, he's not talking to anybody, nobody's coming to see him, nobody's visiting him, nobody's taking him anywhere, that's all I need to know. Because that tells me he didn't have a life. And I know that a child sitting all the time at a house with a parent, that's going to get old. The child's going to get frustrated. The parent should get frustrated. So then I have to ask myself about her courtships, okay? I have to ask myself about her courtships. Who are her friends? Who are the people she talked to? Did she have mommy dates? Did she go out to lunch with friends, go out to dinner with friends? Did friends ever come to her house? Did she ever go out to a bar or parties or functions? What did Katie do besides go to work and then come home and deal with a child 24 hours a day? Not working, off from work. Because her life would have to be ho-hum, such as the life the child had. Yeah, I use past tense. So you can't have one without the other. Nobody's paying attention. Where are your friends, Katie Proudfoot? I haven't heard anybody come up and speak about you. You don't know Katie. She's a good mother. She's my best friend. So are all your friends back in California? Any friends you made while you were in the services? You know, we've learned a lot about people who have come out of the services. A lot of them are a little wacky. No disrespect to anybody that's been in the military. But there are a lot of people who come out of the military, they just can't adjust for some damn reason. And we're seeing this a lot. So I gotta ask, were they messed up before they went in the military, or they got messed up while in the military? What the hell's going on? Because what are the odds you're gonna have two people keeping a child and they from the military and you got allegations of abuse? Allegedly, they say the father, he's in the military too, so everybody crazy as hell. What the hell's going on here? Are you trying to rear your child according to military standards? Because we've heard that from children who grew up in houses where a parent, father, mother were in the military, and they want everything a certain way. They want them lined up like little soldiers. Okay? Lord, these people won't stay out my chat. They want their children lined up like little soldiers. They want everything neat and crisp. Some, not all. Some people come out the military. They're horrible housekeepers. They're junky. They're hoarders. But then you got those others, they like things nice and neat. But I don't think you all were really nice and neat, because when I look at one of the pictures of Sebastian where he's holding a snake, you had a lot of doodads and stuff in the background, paper, this and that, sitting out. So I said, nah, they didn't keep their house that neat. They didn't keep it that neat. So what was the regimen for the discipline for the child? What was his life actually like? Was he a happy child? Or he's only happy when he was elsewhere, such as school or visiting the father? Was he actually happy when he visited Seth? Because I think he had a lonely life. And that's not good for a child to only be happy when they go to school. Then they come home, it's nothing. Nobody's engaging, nobody's talking, nobody's patting them on the back, nobody's giving them a hug, nobody's giving them a kiss, nobody's doing nothing but just say, here's your food, go take a shower, go to bed, and then start the process all over. Because life can become redundant. You get in a rut, you're in the same routine, there's nothing great happening, there's nothing fantastic happening. And I got a feeling that's how his life was. He just got up, ate breakfast, went to school, came home, piddled around, did homework or whatever, ate food, took a shower, went to bed. That was his life. Because I don't hear anything spectacular in any interviews that this child has just this great life. Just saying.
Throw his rhetoric on, his script. And Katie's just right there nodding and smiling, not even that, nodding and blinking the odd time.
Not been 15 that long, according to this, when he got whacked with the belt. So, does it matter when he got whacked with the belt? To me, it matters if you're telling two different stories.
Exactly.
Bingo, bango, which is not just one incident, Nancy Grace. High five, man, oh man. What a great little find. What a great little find. Great point. It matters on different levels in this instance, not just that the abuse happened and indicated, there's more behind that. Imagine all the things that we don't know.
Exactly. What I always say.
And it also indicates
what
that
you don't
he's
know.
Quick to jump with these scripted stories in order to pass off any sort of misinformation.
I'm glad AB said that, because I say that all the time. If you start hearing allegations against a person or people, and you decide that you want to believe the allegations, okay? Let's just say you believe it, you get proof that the allegation or two is true, just like with the shit with Puff Diddy and his children and other people. Imagine what you don't know was going on with a person. A person gets all these allegations of abuse, sex trafficking, this and that, verbal abuse. Just imagine what you do not know if you believe the allegations. This is why I'm saying I don't believe this kid had a great life with them. And Christopher wasn't even there, allegedly, through the week. So what problems could he have with the kid? You're not even there. You're not even dealing with the kid, but Friday to Sunday. Barely, 48 hours. So what problem could you have? Well, Sammy, I was going to tell you to call me. That's why I was asking. Because I was wanting to hear somebody's feedback. Because I don't want to talk the whole time during the live. He didn't have a great life. And I'm going to tell you something. Because most of us who are adults, we've been kids. All of us, rather. Everybody didn't have a great life growing up. And that's the worst thing about childhood. Not having a great life. Because you should have a great life. And everyone can't say they did. maybe it was good up until this age, and then it went terribly, terribly wrong, or maybe things didn't pick up till they were a teenager. Then maybe they got horrible once they got grown. But it's horrible at any point from birth to 18. Because from birth to 18, somebody should have been there to take care of you and guide you and rear you properly and offer you a decent life. And it's not saying that things aren't going to go wrong. There aren't going to be financial problems, that you're not going to, that you may not start getting along with your parents for whatever reason. There may be divorce, separation, all type of things can go bump in the night while being reared. But when you start talking about sexual assault, physical abuse, different people in and out of a child's life, the one guy who's a YouTuber who was talking about having the different fathers, that's deep. That's deep. Who wants to have all these different people coming in and out of their house? You don't know them from a can of paint. They don't know you. Some of them don't like children, but they're with the parent. And that's a problem too. Men going out here picking up women who don't want to be a mother, and that's her right. She don't want to be a mother, or she's raised her children. She doesn't want to be a mother to a child. Those are things a man needs to consider. Same thing with a woman. You go out here and meet a guy, start dating, you need to know that he likes kids. You can't just say, well, I like him, he's nice to me. Okay, he's nice to you, but does he like children? You get serious, does he want more children? You might want more children. He's like, well, I don't want any more. Chris told Nina that. Because frankly, he didn't have no business with Nina. He doesn't like kids. Duh. She didn't see the writing on the wall. The man never wanted kids. And yet she made a baby with him any damn way. Why? And then you go through all this fucking trouble with him, legally. And I know she's had to tell herself, why did I do this? He let me know when he was hitting my fucking kids. And then I go lay with him and make a baby, and next thing you know, he used my baby as a pawn. He don't give a fuck about faith. And we'll talk about that too in this live stream. He don't care about faith because he done took off back to his job, woo-woo. Katie done ran off with him. Where would the children be right now? The mother's run off. So you got a missing 15-year-old. So you get faith, where's she gonna be? You all better pay attention.
That doesn't work in his favor.
That's what matters. I've never been hit or hit anyone with a belt. And I remember the last time either one of my children were spanked. It was Lucy, because she clobbered John David in the head with a piece of wood. She turned around and looked at me and went, is that it, basically? Because I was spanking her through a huge diaper. Okay, it didn't work, so that was the last smack. Long story short, there's a whole scenario that I need to talk with.
Not one reaction from any one of those panel guests on that little insider joke, but I know where she was going with that. It's probably safe to steer away from any admissions of smacking your kids up there. But remember, it's not just about the discipline of the child is what we're outraged about. We're outraged because of Chris Proudfoot, the stepdad, forcibly disciplining a child with autism. Don't do that. Ever. There's no situation in which that...
So AB is saying not to discipline an autistic child. Do you agree? That'll be the next poll. I'll put that up right now. So far, 58% of you believe Chris did hit the child with a belt often. 28% of you not sure. 13% said no. Next poll will be pertaining to spanking an autistic child. Or I'll just say whooping, whichever word. Should you spank an autistic child or any child? I can spell the word right. right, everybody, take the pose. Hope I spelled this right, because I ain't got my glasses on. I'll give you an option of not sure for those of you who are not sure.
Child with a cognitive disability is going to comprehend, understand, conceptualize the situation.
Ms. Lasky, about hitting a child that is autistic with the belt, or any child with the belt, for Pete's sake. But that said, what's concerning me now is two different stories. And as Dave Mack first said, we've got a CPS issue, because it.
Believe it or not, they used to give the belt in schools back in the day. The strap, they called it.
You'll recall that.
That's corporal punishment.
Yes.
But we decided long
Rule or
ago
sue.
that was wrong. Okay? Let's put that aside. We're talking specifically about this situation and Sebastian's autism. That is a real problem, and he's now missing.
Dave Mack.
I think I spelled it wrong. Sorry about that.
Mr. Proudfoot speaking to me. I said, how did that turn into a CPS, Child Protective Services complaint? And he says, that did not turn into a CPS complaint.
Right, it did not. He's like, as in, he's not addressing the situation. He's getting the hell out of it. Lied to you, Nancy.
But wait a minute. He's told a different story to a different person. Tell me, Dave Mack, and make sure you're right.
Describing the belt whack, the specific belt whack, hit him one time with the belt, and Chris Proudfoot said, Seth, that Sebastian went to school, told a teacher what had happened, and he actually says the school, they're an automatic reporter, and they reported it to CPS. He went further to say, that night, when they were sitting down to dinner, a CPS worker came to their house. That evening, to their house. And by the way,
remember when the CPS worker came to their house? He couldn't. Go ahead, Chair. He couldn't wait. The CPS worker, Chris says, was so apologetic that they were so intrusive on their privacy and understood everything that Chris had done in that situation. So there's no reason for anybody out there to worry, especially on Nancy Grace's panel.
he added, they knew the CPS worker because she had been to the house before. He went on to explain heroically how he didn't get in trouble, but that this caseworker allegedly took Sebastian outside and told him, you can't tell lies about people, you'll get in trouble yourself. So the story from Chris Proudfoot in this other version is that he spanked Sebastian. Sebastian went to school and told a teacher. Teacher reported it to CPS. CPS came out to their house that night while they're eating dinner and didn't even want to hear Chris Proudfoot's side of the story. He said, I already know what happened, and took Sebastian outside and talked to him.
That their child might return home. Sebastian hadn't even gone 6 weeks, and you're already gone to another state? I don't know, Katie. I think you and Mr. Chris are in trouble. I think time is running out. I think time is running out, and I think the person who talks first, they get the better deal.
Not if you show proof.
I think that.
Well, it depends on the evidence against the parents. If you have evidence that both were abusing the child, complicit in conspiring to unalive a child, dispose of a child, you gotta have proof. That's it. That's the law. Gotta have proof of who did what, who knew what, who lied, who covered it up. And it's gonna depend on the district attorney and the 12 members of a jury. Will this ever get to that? 12 members of a jury, indictment. We will see. Take the pause, everybody. Spanking an autistic child. Sorry, I spelled it wrong. Should you spank an autistic child? Should you spank any child? Some people still believe in corporal punishment. Some discipline don't work for some children. Standing up, go in the corner, go in your room. That doesn't work with some kids. And then spanking doesn't work with some kids either. They become immune to the spanking and they still continue to do things. I don't know. So you have to take your child, get your child checked out, see if they got something going on with them. As my mother once said, I never spanked Angela for the same thing twice. So anytime I got a whooping growing up, it was never for the same thing. So obviously, I learned my lesson on the one thing, and I didn't do it again. But I might have went and done something else. But she always said that about me. I've never spanked her for anything, the same thing twice. Some people don't agree with corporal punishment. Take the polls. 37 people have voted. You have an opinion about the poll, take the poll. 107 people in the room. Take the poll. Well, if that's the case, you say don't spank an autistic child. Well, how do you feel about spanking a child, period? Somebody will say, what's the difference? A child's a child. Hello, Bandit. Thank you, sweetie. Should you spank an autistic child? And if you believe in spanking, what age should you stop spanking a child? Some people spank older children. Because that can become very dangerous. Child could turn on you, start spanking you with the belt, or punching you, beating you up. I also told you I'm going to bring you a video about violent children. Some may be autistic or on the spectrum. I'd like to bring you that content. I may try to do that tomorrow. We'll chop up violent children who fight their parents. And I tied into this story. We hear that he didn't lash out. Katie told the news. He just growled. You knew when he was angry, he would growl. But he never punched or pushed or shoved. Is that true? We'll see. Maybe we won't. We're dealing with some people that are lying anyway, so you don't really know what to believe.
If I were you, I'd go to the cops today. I'd call them today. I just tell the truth, no matter what it is, no matter how bad it is. It can't be worse than what you're living right now. And if you wait, and Mr. Crisser decides to make you the perpetrator, if Mr. Crisser decides to tell a story like, well, Kate.
This is a great point, Jules, because it's going to be what happens. They will eventually have to turn on each other.
Katie's temper got the best of her. She accidentally hurt him, called me, and I rushed back to help her dispose of the body. He'll do that. Martin.
I thought about that theory because everybody's on Christopher Proudfoot. Before we knew anything about Nina Gomez's story with him, with her children. So could this be a situation? Because you got to remember, Christopher's not there through the week. The mother would be the one more stressed out with the child because she's there the most. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you so much, sweetheart. She's there the most. So even if Christopher doesn't like kids, he's a narcissist, he's brash, he's this, whatever. The point is he's not there. He's not there. Who's to say the mother got into an altercation with the child or got fed up with him? Maybe she was telling him to do something that day. He didn't do it, didn't listen, had a tantrum, started growling. She popped off. She could have hit him. Who knows? And just went too fucking far and just unalived the kid. Okay? Because she is the one who deals with the child the most. And I would see she would be the one who could pop off quicker. Because we really don't know her. So we hear a lot of bad things about Christopher. But do you know Katie Proudfoot? Because as I've brought you stats pertaining to the unaliving of children by the FBI. It's not a myth, not a story. Most children are murdered by their parents. So you got to use deduction. She's with him more than Christopher Proudfoot. Could it be Katie unalived the child, called him and got help? He came up, took the body back towards Memphis or wherever, or she got rid of the child. And then she had to call her husband to say things jumped off, popped off. Or could it just be good old-fashioned deliberate homicide?
My words, he will do that to you. So even if it was an accident, you're much better off. You're much more likely to get a good deal if you just tell the truth. Just come forward and tell the truth and put this behind you. And for God's sake, get away from that, Mr. Chris, sir. Anybody that thinks it's appropriate to hit a kid across the face, to take a belt after them, to go in their room and throw all their things away. Any man that believes that is not a man. That is a hapless, weak little boy who can't deal with adults on equal terms. He's just a blowhard. Anyway, you should tell the truth. You should give Seth the peace that he needs. You should tell the truth.
Well, how's she going to tell the truth when you don't know who she is? See, everybody judges a story according to how they've lived, what they've dealt with in life, how they've been treated. And then you have a lot of people who are green, they're gullible, they can't think for themselves, so they don't know how to judge a story, okay? Because like I said, people had indifferences toward the Proudfoots before Nina Gomez spoke out, before Seth popped off the other day on a live. You didn't know any of this stuff. And people still had negative things to say about the Proudfoots because they don't seem to care about the child. That's just what we're seeing. No decent person is going to go out of town and the child is missing. Hell, if that's the case, that's no different than getting on a fucking airplane and going to Jamaica. Where are you going? Jamaica? For what? Oh, I'm going on vacation. Why? Your child missing. I need to get away. Oh, okay. Well, what if your child comes home? It's jacked up. Take the poll. Spanking children. Period. Autistic or not. Take the poll.
All right, I'm done. Martin Smallwood.
Saw the stepfather being very controlling, defensive.
Peter Hyatt. Check him out.
Heather said to me, when she looked at that first one, she said
Peter Hyatt.
to the effect of,
Yes, I love Peter.
she wanted to say to the mother, blink twice if you're getting held hostage. Somewhat humorously, but the idea being is that she'd seen it before. And I talked about domestic violence. He may have never hit her, but when you see the personality, you say, oh, she's very likely someone who lives under the threat of violence and controlled by it. So the first thing I noticed about it was a week before they spoke out. And people had posted, and I had one commentator on the YouTube channel that I took with permission her comment and shared it with everyone, because it was just one of those strong accuracy level comments that should be shared. I had said that if a child was missing, the parents will do everything they can to get in front of the camera. They don't care about people's motives. They don't care about anything else but getting the missing child out there. What that is a character with the instinct to call out to the child. Now, they've called the child for dinner. They've called the child, where are you? If they heard a fall, are you okay? That's a natural human response. When a child is missing, that is stifled. And when they're given the means to call out to the child to fulfill that deep within them, they're going to take advantage of that. Why? Because their priority is finding the child. And so what we saw with this was there was, first of all, a delay of 6 or 7 days. of no crying out for the child. And the comment was, because I didn't go far enough. They should have been out there immediately, not only giving a description, that was my point, but this.
Yeah, the child didn't go missing in 2 weeks from now. The child went missing long ago, and time is of the essence. You think, and Katie, you guys are going to sit back with your feet up and think things are going to work themselves out? Well, we got a few flyers on the go. Mm-hmm. Oh, my old lady, my mama's in real estate. She can pull some strings. Listen, when there's an emergency situation, businesses in the area are jumping at the gun to help out and print them up for you for free, no cost. Any printing service in the immediate area.
Commentator's point was, and they should have been giving a strong description of his autistic behavior.
Exactly. Like, is he scared of places he could be hiding underneath somebody's back porch, in a shed? He doesn't like roads. He likes roads. He doesn't like water. He loves water. He's probably near it. He's not probably near it.
Exactly.
Habits.
Exactly.
Things that make them comfortable. Behavior.
But I'm not going to do that if I don't care. I'm not getting ready to tell you about my child, what he likes, doesn't like. I'm not getting ready to go on and on about what I love about my son. I don't care. Haven't you dodo birds put that together? Why do you think I left my house in Hendersonville? What's the old saying? I can show you better than I can tell you. That's what the Proudfoot'S have done. They've shown you. They checked out. Checked out a long time ago. Let's keep it real. We're not going to shoot the shit anymore, okay? Katie probably checked out back in California when the little boy was a little boy. When the 15-year-old was a little boy. Katie probably checked out, who's to say, when he was in the womb, when she first gave birth to him. You don't know because you don't know her. She was just riding the ride. What we all have done in life. Nobody wants to hear that you're not bonding with your baby. Nobody wants to hear that it's too tough. Your marriage ain't working. You're not happy. Then too, she's been in the military. You've learned to keep your mouth closed. You learn to be quiet. You learn a code of silence. You've learned that with the military. So sometimes you carry that attitude out into the world with you. When you look at her pictures on her Facebook page, you can see a younger Katie. Maybe this is a Katie who has not lived. This is why you see a lot of problems with young mothers and babies. When you haven't lived your full life, your full potential, sometimes things doesn't work out with motherhood. Sometimes things don't work out in relationships, courtships, family, whatever, because you're not where you want to be. And everybody knows that when you are not where you want to be, you are not happy. Say it again, Queen. You are not happy. You are miserable as fuck. And I think most of us have been there. When you are not happy, what's the old saying? Nobody's happy. So I'm not happy. How is my kid going to be happy? You think a child can't sense when a parent is unhappy, miserable? And then you play off of that. The child sees that, smells that. See, we don't really know what the hell has been going on with Katie. You don't even know where Katie comes from. You don't know her parents. You don't know how she was raised. See, you got to go in the belly of the beast when you start talking about missing children, dead children. You got to get to the bottom and the root of the problem. Not this bullshit that's playing out on YouTube. You got to go way back, honey. You got to go dig way back in that sock drawer. Because way back in that sock drawer is the truth. The boy missing is the jump off, okay? Or we would say the icing on the cake. But you had to get to that point for him to go missing. And there was trauma. And trauma leads to more trauma. What does Dr. Phil say? Hurt people hurt people. So you expect somebody who ain't had no great life, weren't reared properly, probably getting beat up their damn self, you expect them to go out here and be a great mother and father. Sometimes you have to chop it up and compartmentalize people to see why they act the way they act, why they get a temper, why they're brash, why they're narcissistic. Because it comes from somewhere. And usually it's taught. And let me tell you, most people don't want to wake up and be mean-spirited, evildoers. But things in life can push them in the wrong direction. And I'm not making excuses for any of them. What I'm saying is you become creature of habit and your environment. And your environment is what forms your disposition. So perhaps these were half-assed good people somewhere long time ago, but their environment pushed them into a really bad situation. But naturally, there's no excuse for abusing a child, unaliving a child, because I don't believe he's alive. I don't. And the father's holding out hope, but I think Seth knows these people have done something to his child. He just did not want to say it out loud. And now there's strife between all of them. And I'm sure TBI, FBI, CIA, and the Hendersonville Sheriff's Department, they're now taking note if they were not before. They have ammunition now to say possibly Sebastian did not walk away. He was not kidnapped. He was not lured. Somebody took him out.
Ears that stick out, jitters, twitches. The first thing that comes out of your mouth is my son is autistic, and you're going to be able to recognize him. This is why. And if you do recognize him, please let him know that mom and dad are on the way.
Because it could lead to an understanding of how he reacts to people and where he could be hiding. And as many others have said, it's sadly true that autistic children can be drawn to water for whatever reason.
No, I've got one of them, a water baby. Sensory, stimulation, senses, communication, brain. All goes back to our brain. We like to think that we're invincible. Friends, that was the great Peter Hyatt statement analysis. And before that was Jewels of Thought, or Allegedly Innocent. I'll include the links to their respective videos in the comment section, which is where I would love you to leave all kinds of fucking comments. I don't care who you are. Well, with exceptions. Please remember to hit that thumbs up and share it to your social media. I'm not sure if
That's AB, everybody. 42% of you said no to spanking of children. Yes, 40%, neck to neck, yes and no. 17% of you said you're not sure about spanking children. 42% no, 40% yes. Thank you for joining me. Next poll. Did the child walk out the door hid and he perished outside, or he perished in a hidden place? The CIA is involved because they are partnered with the Missing and Exploited Child Network, if you did not know that. That is why the CIA is involved. They have a partnership with the Missing and Exploited Children's Network. I put that in my last live pertaining to Sebastian Rogers. They have a partnership with the Missing and Exploited Child Network. They help investigate missing and exploited children, the CIA. What does Danielle have to say? Thank you, Mr. AB. He's so kind to play my content, and I do like to share things that AB talks about because he gives me a run for the money, honey. Let's talk about this other nonsense with the felon. I don't know about that. AB got the 411 on that. Let's get down to that. I'll be posting the polls while I play his content. Thank you, AB. Please check out his network. He's got continued coverage pertaining to Sebastian Rogers' story and the latest developments. I can't keep up with all this nonsense because it's getting quite outrageous now.
At this moment in time, he's not the only one trying to figure things out. He took to court TV to drop a couple truth bombs for the world, and oh boy, this will get things really humming in the investigation room, I can bet. Allegedly, according to Seth, we're going to listen to the clip in just a moment. Prepare yourselves because trigger warning.
I'm going to address somebody in the chat. This is Danielle's question. Based on what I guess the stepfather said about possible SA, do you think it was a mercy type thing where they unalived Sebastian to spare potential victims? Is that 100% confirmed? You cannot believe anything that he has to say, Danielle. Let's keep it real. I don't know if the boy has touched any other children inappropriately. For all we know, this is just Chris making up stuff because he fed off of what was told to him about the boy. Many people do this that are evildoers. They get a hold of your secret and then they use it against you, okay? Chris, to me, would be the type of person, if he found out somebody he knows was molested as a child, I could see him accusing that person of being a child molester. I'm just going to keep it real. It wouldn't matter if you're 12, 13, 10, 15, or whatever. He's just evil as fuck. I do believe the allegations by Nina Gomez. I think, as I just said, he doesn't like children. He doesn't like people. He doesn't like himself. He probably was battered as a child, raised in a strict household with his mother, stepfather, whomever, father, whichsoever, and he now becomes an adult. He's carried those ways out with him, and one thing begets another. He has been leading by example, point blank, because many of us do. It's just a matter of who's going to tolerate us. That's all life is about. What you're willing to tolerate, what others are willing to tolerate from us. So you're never going to know the truth, why they hurt that boy, because I believe they hurt him. You're never going to know who did it, who conspired, if it was deliberate, if both of them had a talk with each other. Hey, let's knock this kid off. Hey, I'm getting rid of this kid. I'm sick of him. Hey, I'm tired of taking care of him. Hey, his father wants him. I'm going to spike the daddy. Hey, I want child support from her. See, you ain't going to never know. Who's going to tell you the truth? They can't tell the truth on YouTube. So how are you going to get the truth about SA and this and that? Somebody's got to come out now and tell you their child was touched by Sebastian Rogers. And God, I hope nobody has the story. But he wasn't around anybody. So are you trying to say this was maybe a reason why he didn't have any friends and they didn't let him play with other children? Because they were worried about him touching other children? Because nobody's brought that up. It's a dirty, dirty question. Because you got to remember, if somebody's done this to him, he will have the propensity to offend. So has the boy touched other children? This is deep. This is real deep. But if that niece went along with them to dinner or bowling, if you feared for him doing something, why would you take a child along with you all on a function if you thought he would offend? So you always got to make it make sense. And if the schoolhouse hasn't called to say he's acting inappropriate with other children, touching in inappropriate places, no other child has come forward with allegations that Sebastian has touched him, then this is just some bullshit from Mr. Proudfoot, because he likes to, what's the word I'm looking for? He's an agitator. He's an instigator. I think he's an instigator. I think he's a bully. I think he's the type that always got something smart to say. He's always got a foul joke. He knows everything. He's better than everybody. I think that's his personality. And he's going to be this way with an adult. He would be this way with a child. You know, he's obviously this way if he told a 3-year-old he needs to man up. So how do you think he talks to adults if he would talk to a child that way? Or talk about a child that way, a 3-year-old? He's going to be that way whether you're 10, 12, 1 month old. He doesn't care. The man didn't even want to hold his own baby when she was born. Why would a woman have to ask her husband, would you like to hold your daughter? I guess. He doesn't give a fuck. And Nina saw the signs. Sadly, she saw what he was about and she still stayed with that motherfucker. She still made a baby with him. That's what I don't get. You see he's beating your babies and you gonna go continue to have sex with him and then have a whole child with him? Ain't no fucking way. Like I said, what you do out here when you single, that's your business. But when you have children, you don't have a right to have nobody around your children breaking the law, beating your kids, hell, beating you. You should say to yourself, okay, this is it. I don't want my children looking at nobody beat me up. I don't want them thinking this is okay. Why do you think people grow up to become abusers? Because they were abused. This is some deep shit. I believe it goes way deeper than what we're hearing. And you're not going to know the truth because you're not going to know who to believe. Because now it's a tit for tat. Now you got to sit here and wait to see what Seth has to say pertaining to her rebuttal or what he initially said. And what she say, I'm not going to go back and forth. I'm not going to go back and forth. Well, you've already opened you already went in Pandora's box by responding. Now let's see what Chris has to say. These are things they did not want out. You can believe that. You can believe Chris didn't want Nina talking. Oh, you know he's hellified mad. Because he didn't want you all hearing nothing about what he did to her children, how he treated her, how his family treated her when she came down here to Tennessee. Oh, hell no. He wasn't expecting none of that to get out. But it's out. It's just a matter of do you believe it? Do you believe these people abused the boy? Do you believe they hurt the boy? Do you believe Seth abused the boy? Because now it's tit for tat. But Seth doesn't have any open CPS cases, and that case was closed out in California with no proof of him ever abusing Sebastian. But we do know we have seen cases where judges have ruled and the children were being abused. Because how many cases have we seen, and this is that case, because I think we do need to now go in the belly of the beast about that. How many cases have you seen of missing children, dead children, where CPS was called and the children were being abused? Ruby Frankie, stay woke. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And I'm not here to talk bad about Seth, but I go by statistics. When CPS is called, there's usually fire. It's a matter of proving it. Like any allegation. That's the reason why Ruby Frankie got a pass. 18,000 people signed a petition to have her investigated. State came out. They didn't see anything. What did they ask the children? I don't know. Did the children lie? Possibly. And look what happened years later. 2 children found in southern Utah in her confidant's house, held against their will and abused physically, mentally. 1 child hair shaven, girl child. See where I'm going with this? Just because it's not visible does not mean it's not going on. And I do believe those 2 children would have perished had that little boy not escaped and got help. Because what's the fallout of not being fed and not given water? You will die. So is there some truth to this little boy being abused by all of them? That's what you have to decide.
It's one. It's a truth bomb of a sexual nature. So allegedly, this is not the first time. Not the first time he's gone missing, meaning Sebastian, from the home. It's happened 3 other times or 2 other times. I can't remember. However, he mentioned a story about registered, an RSO, we'll call it, for the sake of YouTube monetization, that Katie and Chris Proudfoot, in his just infinite wisdom, allowed an RSO around Sebastian, and the worst happened. He was rhymed with grapes.
What?
It was just coming up until this year where they would even be able to begin
What is he saying?
giving some sort of counsel and therapy to Sebastian.
Next poll.
It is heartbreaking.
You know, my son's come up missing now under her watch.
The 3rd time?
Time before that, her and Chris let my son get molested and raped in their apartment. And the time before that, I did a welfare check because she let a known sex offender who, yes, did their 9 years in prison, but she left my son around that person.
I missed that
You know,
interview.
to that.
Nancy Grace just released 30 minutes ago autistic.
What in the hell is going on here? See, this is where people are going to have a problem. People are going to be looking like, Seth, you never mentioned any of this in the beginning to the news of the problems you had with this woman and Christopher Proudfoot. People are going to say, why not? Why didn't you just tell the news? We all have not gotten along. My child has had a lot of trauma in his life. My ex-wife was not in tune to raising him. She was not engaged in raising him. And I think they did something to my child. Because when he first went to that house, he had to have thought these things, especially now that you're revealing all of this information. I didn't know anything about this other sex offender. I watched the content about the other 13-year-old boy playing with him, and you say, well, I don't understand why this child was playing with my child. They didn't have anything in common. They weren't the same age. But as I've told a story to you all growing up, we once had a 15-year-old boy playing with us when we were children, and he was a sweet kid. I never heard of him touching any of the other boy children. He never touched me inappropriate. We would all go across the street, and we had a parking lot across the street from the apartment building in Chicago, and we'd play softball in that parking lot. He's been in my house. My mother did his hair one day. You know, back in the days, some guys like to have their hair pressed. He wanted his hair pressed with the pressing comb. My mother pressed his hair. He was a sweet kid, Big Mike. That's what we call him. I don't know if Big Mike's alive today, but he was a good kid. And he took to the boy children, you know, because we had to be about what, 10? He was 15. So that's a, you know, that's a major difference for a 10-year-old. But I never heard of him doing anything salacious with any of the children. But I understand what he's saying. You know, certain age groups probably don't need to mingle unless they're family. But I guess it depends on the child, the maturity of a 13-year-old. But nonetheless, the child touched his child. I'm trying to understand, how did they find out that he touched the child? I still have not heard, maybe I've missed that, how they found out the boy child was touched. He told it. Sebastian told it. Some bizarre stuff. 42% of you believe the child hid and perished outside or in a hidden place. 42% of you don't believe he, you know, went somewhere and hid and perished outside. 34% of you think he did, and 23% of you are not sure. The next poll is pertaining to the parents. Was the child abused by Seth, Chris, and Katie? 27% of you said yes. 45% of you so far saying no, and 27% is not sure. So right now it's yes and not sure. Well, different degrees. Okay, let's chop up this new nonsense here. Katie, Chris, why would you have a pedophile hanging around your child? What's this all about? Who is this person? How long were they coming around the child? What was you all's relationship to this man who's been in penitentiary for 9 years? Did you know he had a criminal record for SA? This ain't good. So we're going from a 13-year-old molesting a boy to now another person that's grown who's done time in penitentiary. This is bad, man. This makes me wonder about Katie and Chris. Chris don't give a fuck about who he likes and date and hook up with and sleep with and marry. I think he just likes kitty cat. That's what I think of with Chris. He don't care what it look like, what it smell like. He'll just jump in the pond. Katie, what the fuck's wrong with her? You have to be careful with having people around your children. Period. And people have made this mistake. That's why terrible things happen to children. Because you send your children off with different people. Send your children over to people's houses you don't know. Let them spend the night, don't know nothing about the family, don't know what they into, what they got going on. You don't know if they use drugs, sell drugs. You're supposed to do all that stuff. If your child invites a child over right now, the child smells like marijuana, you probably don't want to send your child over there because you don't know what the hell's going on over there. And will somebody be paying attention to the children? You don't want parents geeked up, smoking crack and fentanyl and marijuana back in the room and the children doing God knows what. We just had a terrible accident here in this region. A 14-year-old on April 1st got behind the wheel of a car early Monday morning with some 16-year-olds in the car and wrecked the car. And one of the 16-year-olds died in the car accident. Pretty little girl. You gotta watch your children. Because now you gotta explain why are 4 children out at 1 a.m. in the morning riding down a lonely highway in the fucking dark? What is a 14-year-old doing driving a car? So that means your child was missing and your car was missing. And 3 other teenagers that are 16 are in the car with a 14-year-old driving, and now we have a 16-year-old little girl dead. Pretty little girl. Think she's half white, half Hispanic or something. She's gone. So you got to pay attention to your kids. But naturally, they probably waited till their parents went to sleep and they snuck out. So that means nobody had ADT. How about that?
Boy, Sebastian Rogers, glasses filled, question mark, came across this piece with Sebastian's biological father.
I mean, when you're searching for a missing child, I like the focus to be on what is being done to find the child, what can we do to help find the child. But instead, there's all this controversy surrounding the search for Sebastian. And I find that very odd that people are not pulling together to try to find Sebastian. But that said, can you please shed some light on the search?
Nancy, they can't pull together because there's a big roadblock, and that roadblock is Chris. The Proudfoot'S, they've done something. But I understand the question. I'm speaking as though she doesn't know that already. But what good of a show would that make if she knew the answers already, right? You have to present it in a way, I guess.
Search that occurred around the Proudfoot home. Did dogs hit on areas around the home and leading to the retention pond?
I was first told by one of the dog handlers that their dog did hit on a scent that took him over into the construction area to a retention pond. I was later told by law enforcement that it was a false hit. I was also informed that they searched that pond where the dog went to and they did not find anything. And I was told that they were going to actually go back and drain that retention pond, and they had drained a separate retention pond with no luck in
So
finding
you
it.
think they may have already drained 2 ponds?
Yes, ma'am.
The reason I'm asking, Seth, is because your ex, Ms. Proudfoot, stated that the dog hit and got Sebastian's scent around the home. Now I'm hearing it didn't. Was that hit at the retention pond, the false hit, or was it around their home?
I'm being told by law enforcement that the dog hit to the retention pond was a false hit. And then
Did
the
you know
dog,
any hit by the dogs around the Proudfoot home at all?
not on the outside.
So no hit, round and round. No hit of the child's scent outside. Why not? He had to come outside because he was seen going out with the mother or seen at the restaurant, so he had to come outside. So do any of the neighbors have doorbell cameras directly across or catty corner from them where somebody can see people coming in and out of the Proudfoot's home visibly? But where this is a problem is if she enters her house from the garage, then you aren't going to see anything. Only thing you're going to be able to see is a car coming out the garage and then going into the garage. And that's a problem. That's a problem. That's going to even be a problem to say the child went to school. You can only verify him going into school. Schoolhouse said, yeah, he was here. But the neighbors can have a camera to say, well, I never saw him walk outside or get in a car, because maybe they enter the car from inside. How perfect is that when it's time to get rid of someone? Knock them off in the house, carry them out to the car, hide them in something in the car, and then pull out the garage door go down, and all you see is just the car coming out with somebody behind the wheel. Is that what we're talking about here? This child was unalive at the house, and he was brought out by car from the garage. Katie, your car? Did you unalive your child in that house while Chris was gone or Chris was here? I don't know. We don't have no proof about nothing. And all that shit about being vetted and cleared, you ain't vetted and you ain't cleared, homeboy. Ain't none of y'all vetted and cleared. Because now you done gave law enforcement something to run with now with all this he said, she said about child abuse and SA. Now they're going to look at all three of you. Because they ain't going to know who to believe. How about that? They're not going to know who to believe. She's accusing Seth of abusing the child. Seth is accusing them without watching the child. Seth accusing them of having a 13-year-old around the child that touched the boy. Now we're hearing about a pedophile, a whole human grown up. This shit is deep. But we had them known there was some trauma because he's missing, and you're not hearing nothing from law officials. Now, I would have never assumed we were going to be going in the belly of the beast about SA. But here we are, because you don't know people. So if you don't believe any of these allegations, now imagine what you surely don't know about the children. The boy child and these parents and anybody else. Hello? Anybody else? Because now we're talking about two people touching the boy. So who else done touched him? Christopher? You wouldn't happen to be a sadist now, would you, besides a physical abuser or a loudmouth bully?
Were there hits on the inside?
I believe so.
Okay, there should have been.
Well, yeah, the dogs would have recognized the scent inside, then apply it to outside and work outwards.
Was the child abused by all parents? Not sure, 35%. Yes, 33%. No, 31%. 45 votes. You all are neck to neck on all three. That's not good.
So without everything else, the dogs, excuse me, essentially, what we're getting at, the long and short of it, is Katie Proudfoot came up and lied directly to Nancy Grace's face, which is disappointing Vinnie-Politan, I can tell already.
Now, this is my conundrum, Seth. If there are no hits for Sebastian outside the Proudfoot home, that would suggest he did not leave the home. Earlier, I was asking the Proudfoots about their vehicles. What
about the vehicle you drove 3.5 hours back from Memphis on, right when you were still on the phone? Remember, oh, we're gonna make a digital footprint here. Of course you were on the phone nonstop doing to get away with the fucking crime.
To make, model, and year to determine if there was a navigation system in those vehicles.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you.
If the vehicles left the home.
Fucking right there, Wood.
Thank you.
Get in those black boxes, Nancy Grace. You're gosh darn right. What a crackerjack of a point. Because, well, you have to first find a baseline. And what is going to be your base? What are you going to base what it is you know? The last, just the mileage? How can you tell? I mean, is there a black box in that big diesel rig of his? Probably. Underneath the seat? How much gas or diesel it went through? I wonder if there is a time frame to things.
That night. That's what I was getting at. Don't know the answer to that yet, but I believe that there were. You're telling me you were not told of any canine hit around the home. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's critical.
Very.
Joining me, Dr. Sherry Schwartz, forensic psychologist, who's
critical right away because it establishes the fact that the people looking after Sebastian are telling mistruths.
Yeah.
Don't you think that that's an important detail? They're just more worried about themselves in real time at every step of the way here. That's all that matters, and it's significantly, at this point in time, it's significant because, obviously, they're trying to get away with the crime. It's just not a bunch of people blowing smoke up each other's ass.
specializes in forensic psychology, capital mitigation, and victim advocacy at panthamitigation.com. Dr. Sherry, this search for Sebastian, if he is alive, he could still be saved. But it is degrading into a lot of infighting amongst searchers. I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either, and I certainly am no expert in these kinds of searches, but it doesn't seem to me that I've ever heard of anything so vitriolic in the behavior of people searching to find a missing teenager.
Because people are not in it for the right reasons.
One of the things that seems to be happening is there seems to be maybe a little bit of territory.
No. Now you've got all these people really putting all this credence into this vitriol going back between two people. It all began when Chris Proudfoot comes to YouTube to get on all these people's podcasts and says things a certain way to people. You don't need a criminal forensic psychologist to apply theoretics at this point in time when it's happening in front of you. The sheer action of him even doing that is a problem because of how he did it, the time in which he's done it. These people aren't coming up, okay? These people aren't coming up to you as innocent folk. They have rumors to spread and things like that. And you can do that on the go.
It's really bad.
Plan it other than the fact that you know you're going to do it. You can fly by the seat of your pants and still fuck things up. What was the point of even going up there in the first place? It really wasn't to find your kids because you yourselves aren't looking.
Exactly. Do you all believe the scent of the child was not hit on outside of the house? Do you believe that was a false positive of a scent at that retention pond? What do you believe about anything pertaining to a scent? Because that doesn't make sense that there's no scent of him. That means he's never been outside the house. That means he's only coming out by car. He had to go say, well, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, Diana. He had to go to school. So that means he's getting in the car by garage. That's the only way you're going to weigh this out. Because if they can show proof he went to school on that Friday, then that means he entered the car through the garage. Walk through the house, go out the garage, get in the car. That's the only way you can explain no scent. So every time they exited it's through the garage. Stay woke. What you should have done was picked up a scent from Katie and Chris. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, shit. You wasn't ready for that, were you? Whoever had the dogs, you should have gave something belonging to Christopher and Katie to see if they ever went outside to the garbage can or checked the mailbox. Hello. Anybody listening? That's how all this unfolded, through that garage. Did Katie unalive the child? 52% says yes, 8% no, 40% not sure. Want to put up one more poll before I check out.
Literally, I got an earbuds in. You need some soundproofing in that room, brother. There's an echo.
And trying to put the pieces together. Like, what happened here? What happened here? And to me,
Rich mofo.
I think it goes to his background and his personality, the way he is.
Here's this interview. I may go on the wrong one here.
Molested and raped.
Either through negligence at the bare minimum.
Has she been a good mother to Sebastian?
No.
Not in my opinion.
She puts her own priorities before herself, including her new fuck buddy.
Hey,
This
B.
is the third time this issue. You know,
Oh, I
my
can't.
son's come up missing, and I wonder her
That damn
mom.
AB hell.
And before that,
Not the fuck buddy.
my
God
son
damn.
get molested and raped in their apartment.
That boy a fool.
And the time before that, I did a welfare check because she went.
Well, that was heavy. That time, Chris and Katie allowed
Hey, Cheryl.
Sebastian to get grape in the apartment.
This is bad, bad, bad.
Either through negligence at the bare minimum.
Correct.
Has she been a good mother to Sebastian?
Not in my opinion.
Wow.
This is the third time this issue. You know, my son's come up missing now under her watch.
The third time?
Time before that, her and Chris lived.
See, this is a problem right here. If I knew that my child was molested by a 13-year-old, my child was molested by a grown man, I do believe I'd be asking for full custody. But once again, just like the allegation she brought against him, abusing her child while she was trying to divorce him, you got to have proof. So, Seth, you should have took her back to court and asked for full custody. Because if he's going to therapy for the trauma from being molested, there's your rights. There's your proof right there. Hey, I want full custody of my son. You're not watching him. You're not letting the right people be around him. You're not monitoring him. How the fuck you gonna have a 13-year-old molested him and now we got a whole grown man molested him? So why didn't anybody file charges against the grown man? So Katie, Chris, did you all go file a police report that the man was molesting him? Because we know you can't do nothing about the child molesting him because that's a child. So what about this grown person? Where is all this shit coming from? Damn, are you on dope, girl? Do you get high, smoke, fentanyl, meth, pop pills? What's going on? Or you just one of the mothers, you just like to chase the dick and you don't care about nothing. Because there's a lot of women like you. So long as you getting fulfilled in the bedroom, your child could light the house up and set the whole motherfucker on fire. You wouldn't give a fuck. And a lot of women are like this. They got all kind of men coming in and out their house around their children. That's why children end up getting sexually assaulted, because you don't know the people you're fooling with. You don't know anything about them. You don't look them up. You don't check to see if they got criminal records, if they got anything pending, who the baby's mothers are, if they divorced, if they're what, you got to try to find out. Okay? You got to talk, learn the people you're bringing around your children. Because now we're going into the abyss with all this SA. So we can't be shocked, let's be truthful, if Sebastian touched a child for real. If he's been touched 2 times, more than 2 times, touched by a 13-year-old how many times? Touched by the grown man how many times? And where the fuck is he at? Is he locked up? Is he in jail? Violated parole? What are we talking about here? Explain this logically to somebody with some sense. How a boy child is being touched by all these people. "13-year-old SA, grown man SA with a criminal record. How is it that Katie has custody of him?" You all sit there and ponder on that. I'm going to say it again. Why is there no police record? Why is there no arrest of somebody? Why is there no trial? What is going on? Because there's something funky here. Everybody touching this little boy that's autistic. So you can't be shocked if Sebastian did touch another child inappropriately. If other people are touching him, he doesn't know any better. Children don't know no better. Somebody has to tell them that's inappropriate. That's a no-no. You cannot touch your sister, brother, neighbor, friend, cousin, whomever. They have to be taught. So, mommy and daddy, step-pawpaw, have you all actually sat down and talked to Sebastian about his private parts, his hands, and what he is supposed to do with them and not do with them? What did the therapist tell you about his sessions? Did you all sit in on the sessions? This is some bullshit.
My son get molested and raped in their apartment. And the time before that, I did a welfare check because she let a known sex offender who, yes, did their 9 years in prison, but she left my son around that person. You don't do that. If you're a parent, you don't do that. You're supposed to protect your kids. You don't put them in where they can get in any type of harm's way.
Seth, you said something.
That's a lot to digest right there.
A whole lot to digest.
Hopefully, Nina's lawyer hears that.
Exactly.
Very upsetting,
All of this
very
is bad.
shocking, and I just want to go back just a moment.
Very good point, AB. If it is true the child has been sexually assaulted by a 13-year-old out in California, another grown man from California, Nina needs to have all this information so she can get sole custody of her children. No sharing of the child with these people, no visitation, no nothing. He can only pay child support, but he cannot visit the child. And I also would ask, hey, is to be done with it? Shit. No last name, no nothing. Sever your rights to the child. Now, I don't know how that would work from this state to that state as far as him having paid child support if he severed total rights legally, relinquishing his rights to the child. But she needs all this information if it's accurate. Because Christopher does not need to have access to any children. Nor does Katie. Because they don't know how to use discretion with people and other children. Now, naturally, things can happen with anybody keeping a child, visiting a child. We hear horrible things happening with children and grown-ups, coaches, neighbors, family members. Your child is out of sight. You don't know what's going on. But when you get wind of the information, you need to do due diligence by your child and have that person brought before a judicial process. That's the right thing to do. And then also keep your child away from that person and your other children and any other children. And if you got to put the fucking word out, then you do what you got to do. This is bad. The next question I've asked you in the chat, do you believe that Sebastian Rogers has offended other children? Because common sense, he would have the propensity to touch other children because it has been done to him. %62% of you have said no. 38% not sure.
You said that your wife allowed your son Sebastian, your ex-wife, I should say, your ex-wife allowed Sebastian to be in a situation where he was molested and raped.
In California, and Chris in her apartment, they let a child who was 5 years older than my son play with my son and didn't bother to check on him there either. And he lost his innocence because of it.
Seth, I'm so sorry to hear this. I'm so sorry to hear this. No child should be subjected to any kind of abuse whatsoever. Sexual abuse can be especially traumatic for a young child. Is this something that Sebastian has struggled with since then?
Yeah, I finally was able to actually start getting him therapy for it last year. The fact is that they weren't doing the correct thing clear in California. And last year finally getting him help because he's.
Is there anybody from the state of California that can give testimony to the behavior of Katie Proudfoot and Chris while she was raising this boy child out west? Is there somebody who can stand in the gap and tell the truth on behalf of Sebastian Rogers? Somebody who could say they felt like she didn't bond with the child. She was mean to the child. She allowed different people, men around her child. She didn't care for her child. Is there somebody out there who could tell the truth about Katie Proudfoot in her formal years of raising this boy, that she did not do the right thing by her kid? She was devoid of emotion, stayed gone, threw him off on people. See, these are questions nobody's asking. Did she allow other people to babysit him? Did she throw him off on other people? Did she stay gone from home? Did she ever leave him alone? Ding, 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 ding. Don't know who Seth dated. Whoever he dated, did he ever have any other women around his children, around Sebastian? Just curious. Any girlfriends, potential dates? Were they nice to him, kind to him? You also hear he say he doesn't have a life. He's not dating. He's not doing anything. All he does is go to work. Well, you got to get into the groove too. But right now, you probably ain't trying to get in the groove because naturally your son is missing. But you got to take care of yourself or you will end up in a terrible way, sir. What's the truth here? These are a lot of allegations and they're dirty. They're stinky, nasty, dirty allegations. But do you all believe this boy child has touched another child? Because he would have the propensity to offend because he has been abused. And it would not be his fault. Because one, he's autistic, and then you're talking about essaying him. He wouldn't know not to go touch another child because it's been done to him. He doesn't know any better. This is bad, man. This is bad. Somebody needs their ass whooped. Did you hear what I said? Did he essay another child? 14% yes, 43% no, 43% not sure. Let's finish this content from AB.
And now I'm finding out not only was, he was a victim of that, he's a victim of not getting the help he needs. And, I've listened to some of their podcasts where they make fun of him, make fun of his dancing. Chris obviously has this thing about corporal discipline with him. And it's just...
So is this what he means when he's been talking to these podcasters that watching the podcast, he feels like they didn't care. Because I kept saying, well, what is it that they said that leads you to believe they didn't care for your son? Is this it? Making fun of his dancing. Somebody said they didn't have pictures around because he looked goofy or didn't take good pictures. Is that true? Who the fuck would say that about a kid? Your child is missing and that's what you're going to say to a podcaster? That's something a fool would say. So I need a receipt on that. He danced goofy. Well, he's not a formal backup dancer. He hasn't gone to dance school. He doesn't have a degree in the arts, so he's a kid. Christopher Proudfoot, let me see your big ass get out here and dance. How about that? Let me see you do the Tootsie Roll and see if we all start laughing. I don't believe you and Katie are happy. I believe right now you all are saving face. You're showing the world you do not care about Sebastian Rogers, and you're just riding that donkey ride into the abyss. But that is your choice. And as you hear AB say, everything you've done on your own. Nobody put a gun in your head to tell you to go run and talk to every YouTuber with a pulse. You haven't posted anything recently about the child in about 2 weeks. Katie, where are your pictures of you the way you look right now? You got all this shit on your page where you looking younger in your photos. That's not how you look now. Are you missing something from your past, Katie Proudfoot? Queen is good at reading people. Are you longing for something from the past, sweetheart? Are you looking at those younger pictures of Katie Proudfoot when she was an itty bitty spider? She was real tiny and little, small waist, because that's the Katie you miss. That's the Katie you wish you could be. The Katie that was unobligated. The Katie that didn't have a child. The Katie that didn't know Seth Rogers. The Katie that didn't know Chris Proudfoot. Checkmate.
It's not good.
Seth, I'm so
I
sorry.
need to find my son.
Right.
And he's going to need extensive therapy now to put him back on the right track.
Yes. Was Sebastian the one who told you about the sexual abuse that had happened?
His mother did, and my son did. This happened in California, so Sheriff's Department, CPS was involved. Sheriff's Department was involved there. They wouldn't give me the kid's name, his last name. But at least the only thing I was able to do there was put the detective over that case in contact with the school psychologist so that at least they could protect the other children from this child.
Right. So no juvenile proceedings commenced or anything like that, Seth, with this child. He wasn't
Not
going to
in California.
Mm-hmm.
No, in California, kids 13, they're like, he's too young to prosecute. And they wouldn't do anything about the parents either.
Seth, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My heart breaks for you for so many reasons, and this is just one more of those reasons. Tell me, please, Seth, what else do you want the public to know as people all over are hoping and praying for your son Sebastian's safe return?
Yeah, I'm just looking for him. I need people to help. I'm just one person. I can do a lot, but I can't do everything.
He needs people to help. You can't do everything. Wow, wow, wow. You listening to AB? Take the poll.
Friends, let me know what you think about these new developments in the comment section below. We'll get in deep with it. In the meantime, go over and check out the Queen at the Vault XL. She's done a great live up to date on just this topic. Hit that thumbs up and share this out to your social medias, please.
Thank you, AB. All right. Check out AB's content. He's been bringing back-to-back content pertaining to what these parents have been saying. Thank you so kindly for the compliment and sharing your audience with the Queen. This is a hot mess. And as somebody said in the chat, I want to address this person's comment. Some people don't know how to deal with autistic children. Exactly. But you're not going to know how to deal with an autistic child until you get in that predicament. Okay? Some people don't know how to deal with children, period. But I say this. If you find yourself in a situation that is awkward, whatever it may be, then remove yourself. How about that? Remove yourself. That's all you have to do, is remove yourself. I've worked with developmentally challenged men, young to older. As I've told you all during my live stream, a lot of my background is in group home work, private health care. I've worked with men who were addicted to drugs, group home for drug addicted men, developmentally challenged men. I've worked with group homes for young boys and group home for young girls. And also I did a stint with a women's group home that were mentally disabled. So I've worked with everybody. And yes, it takes a special kind of person to work with mentally disabled people because they are all different. Some have tantrums, some are deemed violent. One guy that was in the house, he was the youngest of all of the guys. He was the one that was most violent. He was the one that would act out. He didn't get his way. He moaned, groaned, started talking crazy, but you had to know how to deal with him. And I will say this about that one. That was the one who always waited on Queen when Queen pulled up to work. He'd be in the driveway waiting on me when I pulled up. He knew what time of day it was. He knew, Angie's coming. Angie should be here. He was there like clockwork every day. When he knew I was coming to work, he'd be in that driveway waiting on me. And that was a good feeling. And I didn't have a problem working with the men. Some people probably couldn't do this kind of work because it takes a strong mind to work with people who have attitude dispositions, violent tendencies, because you don't know that they might turn on you, might get the acting out, hell, could even assault you. But it's a risk you take. And it's a risk you take in dealing with people in general because you don't know people. You live and you learn people. And a lot of people cannot work with people with disabilities. That's why people flinch when they come around. As you've heard, a lot of, people, young children, they like to touch, they like to get in your personal spaces, Christopher Proudfoot said, and that would make a lot of people uncomfortable. Because they like to say hi when they see you. Hi. How are you? Hi, what's your name? Hi. And some people aren't comfortable with that because they don't want them touching them. They don't mind if it's a regular kid touching them, but not a mentally disabled kid or person. Okay? You have to have a certain type of disposition to work with the mentally disabled. It is not for everyone. That's number one. Number two, parenting a disabled child. Now it's a whole different ballgame. I've never had a disabled child. So I would say it'd be hard work. So your temperament would be an issue. You don't have any patience, you will have a hard time, especially depending on the level of the disability. And that would also go for just a child in general, because every child isn't the same. But that's the point. You have to be in the position to learn it. Just like there are probably people who never thought they would like to have children, but they had a child and then they grew on them and they love their kids. Then there's some people who wanted a child and then they realized it wasn't for them. But I respect you when you realize it's not for you. Because as I've told you, many people I know were not raised by their parents. They were raised for a little while and then something happened and then the child went and lived somewhere else. Just about everybody I know has lived with their parents periodically, a few years, raised by somebody else, went into foster care, adopted by some other people, family members, relatives, strangers. Everybody's got a story. But everybody's not cut out for child rearing. Number one, everybody's not cut out to rear children who are disabled. Same thing with working with them. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. And you're not going to know until you cross that road. I personally, working with disabled men, male, I didn't have a problem. Because I treated them just like I would treat you. And you have to know how to talk to them. You can't become combative. You can't, get huffy puffy, want to go to war with them because they are mentally disabled. And their mindset is not going to be the same. And there might be times when, yes, you'll see certain things where you'll say, nah, they know what they're doing. They know what they're saying is wrong. They know what they're doing. Possibly. But you can't beat them up. That's the point. Can't beat them up. Can't abuse them. I don't know what's going on with this family, but right now it's not good. And they now have given law officials pause to look at all of them. So if they think they're vetted and cleared, the Proudfoot'S, you definitely are not. You have now given all agencies involved a reason to look at your ass. Rightfully so. Because now all bets are off. And now they're getting ready to go dig in the belly of the beast. So whatever they didn't do in this investigation, they own it now. If they didn't talk to every neighbor, every sister, cousin, brother, mama, grandmama, they doing it now. And you've given them a reason to go dig all up in your dresser drawers. But you all made that decision, as AB said, when you went to YouTube. So if you want to get mad at somebody, get mad at yourself. Because I don't know why you got to talk to YouTubers, different YouTubers. The story should stay the same. You repeat it one time on one person's channel. What else is there to say? How many times are you going to keep telling the same fucking story? Exactly. Because they are fools. And that's exactly what you've done. You've told a different version to the news. You've told a different version of Nancy Grace. You told a different version to this Olivia girl. You didn't just, every person you done talked to, you done added a little bit something different, Katie. You got to look at Chris to talk. You got to look at him to confirm that the niece was on the little trip with you. Why? And even Seth said that. Why are you looking at Chris for confirmation? He wasn't there. Exactly. Or was he? Was he in the background the whole time? Katie, was he in the background that weekend? Was he there? Will we get confirmation he was there? His truck pulled up. He was in the house the whole time. This was an orchestrated hit on a kid. Or something jumped off between you and the baby and you unalived him, you dumped him out, or you called him, he picked up the slack. Which is it? Because I'm going to tell you right now, however it went down, premeditated or not, you took him out through the garage. That's why there's no scent of Sebastian Routers outside of the house. Is he alive? 14% yes, 48% no. Wow, I'm surprised. Not sure. 39%. Very interesting. I'm going to cut this live short because I'm already at 3 hours. And I want to thank you for following this network. Welcome all new subscribers, viewers, and the chat. Please check out my extensive library of 5,000 videos pertaining to various topics, news. There was an earthquake in New York yesterday that touched down in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. I believe it was a 4.8. I did see one structure that was an older monument cobblestone. It kind of broke up. They're trying to say that nothing major has happened to the buildings, but the mayor doesn't know that. You already had a building collapse not too long ago. So imagine what that's done to the foundation of buildings that's already ready to come down that are old. You're talking about buildings that are at least 200-300 years old in New York. Get serious. But prayers for New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. And common sense should tell you if it's 4.8, next time it might be 6.8. And they're on an island. And it ain't gonna look good if those buildings come tumbling down. You can believe that. It'll be a fine, hot butter mess. And one thing I didn't like about the commentary I watched with the about the earthquake yesterday, the reporter, giddy, laughing, and the children laughing, and she's asking, well, what were you doing? And da-da-da-da-da. They were talking about it like a rock band had come to town. I thought, what the hell is going on here? It's a fucking earthquake. What's so funny? It wouldn't be funny if some of those buildings came tumbling down. Can you imagine that Tower 1 tumbling down? Can you imagine those big skyscrapers tumbling down? There'll be nothing funny about that. I was trying to figure out why everybody was so giddy yesterday about an earthquake. But it just goes to show you the world is changing. That's what I thought when I watched the commentary about the earthquake in New York. That people are oblivious to what the fuck is going on in the world. Everything's a joke. Everything's funny. Kind of like this story about a 15-year-old autistic boy missing. Just stupid parents jumping on YouTube channels, talking in circles, giving 50,000 different versions. Now the father has decided to give his opinion about how he feels about the child and the mother, and now all hell is broke loose. And as somebody in the chat said, I hate to see this play out on YouTube. But it was bound to happen. Because I believe the father's fed up. He's tired. And he feels probably alone out here. And Mr. Seth, you do need to be careful who you fool with. As far as monies, cash apps, PayPals, you need to put all that in your own name, sir. Just a word of advice. I will not have nothing in nobody else's name pertaining to searches, monies for yourself, whatever. I don't have a problem with anybody donating to you because you're not working right now. You still got bills to pay, but it needs to be in your own name. And you don't need to let anybody start any GoFundMes or accounts and banks on behalf of your son. You need to be the one to do that. And you need to keep up with that. Because you don't want your name on anything nefarious and any type of fraud. That's my advice to you. And be very careful who you talk to. Because what starts off as friendliness, these motherfuckers will turn on you. Because you can't trust the YouTubers. You can't trust the people commenting on social media or in the chat or nowhere else. Because people are ill. And I think by now you should know this. As most of you know, Sean Combs has many allegations against him and lawsuits pending. His sons both have hired attorneys. One has hired the attorney who represented El Chapo and John Gotti. You see how that turned out. And the younger son, Christian King, has an allegation against him from a young lady who says he sexually assaulted her on Sean's yacht a few years ago. And allegedly, Little Rod, who has a lawsuit against the son and Sean, he has an audio recording of that assault by Christian King Combs against a young lady. Why didn't she call the police? Why didn't she file a report? I do not know. Why didn't any of these people file reports against Sean, the sons, whomever? I do not know. Is this a money grab? Maybe. Is there some truth to the allegations? Probably. Will somebody else come out with allegations against the sons and Mr. Sean Combs? JLo doesn't want anything to do with Sean Combs. Wish she never met him. Blah, 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 says a source. Denying any involvement with the gun. So who took the gun in? How many guns were used? How many guns were taken in? Were they checked when they went in there? Indictments came about Sean got out of the situation. No charges against JLo. She said she only hung around him, continued to date him because he was good for security. Because she feared for her safety when she and he were getting death threats. You're entitled to your opinion. Riley Strain. His family still have unanswered questions pertaining to his death. They are trying to understand why he did not have his pants on when he floated up in that river. They're still wanting to talk to some people who they think may have seen something. And they have not heard from his frat brothers. And as I told you all in the beginning of this story, when I first started talking about Riley Strain, that the truth is at that bar. That's where the truth lies. And the father did not want to hear anything about what happened at that bar. And I said, until you can come to grips with what happened at that bar, you are never going to understand what happened in the river. Because you can't have one without the other. The truth starts at the bar. The truth may even start before he went to the bar, because you need to know what was going on with he and his friends, what they were talking about, the attitudes, any slick talk, sly jokes. How did he feel when he left the bar? He couldn't have felt great. He got put out. Why did he get put out? Why didn't anybody walk out with him? Who was on the phone with him? Did they mislead him and give him the wrong directions deliberately to have him walking around that city looking like a fool? Because I'm kind of leaning towards that right now. Just because nobody has talked to the family to tell them what happened at that bar. Why nobody called police when you got back to the hotel and realized he wasn't there? Why did you wait so many hours to call the police? What were you doing watching him on Snapchat to see where he was, pinging at 11 p.m., but yet the phone went dead or stopped pinging at 9:58, but then re-pings at 11. That's a whole hour later. So if you're watching him on Snapchat to say, sorry, went out. Sorry about that, everybody. If you are watching him on Snapchat to say he pinged at a certain place at 11 p.m., then were you also watching him while he was wandering around disoriented and you misled him and he ended over by that river and somehow met his demise? Because something's not right with the friends. I don't think they did due diligence. I don't think they cared. Nobody walked out with him. Nobody checked on him. They needed to check his phone to see who he was talking to, what the conversation was about, what was said, and what did Riley say? And how did he end up over by the river? There's nothing over there. And he had no business being over there. Probably tomorrow, Sammy. Why was that child over there by that river? What if this was a prank? Allegedly, somebody said they heard him talking to somebody on the phone. So if you were talking to him and he seemed lost, he looks drunk, why didn't he ever make it back to the hotel? Make it make sense. Is Sebastian alive? 17% yes, 49% no, 34% not sure. Thank you all so much for following this network. Thank you, Sammy, for the donations. God bless all of you. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about violent children who assault their parents. What is the remedy? And we will chop that up. The content that you will hear, a lot of the young children are autistic. We're going to take a deep dive into that subject matter. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. Check my community page for said movie suggestions and updates to breaking news. And the two mothers missing out of Kansas, it has been deemed foul play. I'm not covering that story right now, but I post updates to my community page pertaining to the missing mother and the social worker who was traveling with her on that trip to Oklahoma. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live. Thank you, Mr. AB. You've heard 2 videos from AB's network during this live stream, a little bit of content from another young lady that I do not know, and also Nancy Grace. Thank you, sweetheart. Prayers that the truth is revealed about Sebastian Rogers, Riley Strain. Prayers for parents can come to accept the autopsies at some point unless they get information otherwise. And right now I feel really bad for this situation with Sebastian. Because one, he's a child of God. And I don't believe he was fully loved the way he should have been. And I don't believe he had a life like average children have today. You know, you see a lot of children on Facebook and their parents are showing them going places, doing things, going to their games, going on trips, cruises. I don't think this baby had all that going on. And I don't really have access to all of Katie's, Facebook page and all that, but I don't think he had this exuberant life that other young children have. And I think he's missed a lot. And it'll be a shame to find out that he is no longer alive and that he died at the hands of the Proudfoot'S or whomever. And he had a short-lived life. Prayers to all our children. Thank you for joining me. You've been listening to The Father Excel. Thank you.